Okie dokie. Alright. In that case, let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so, welcome everybody. This is Pokemon White 2. Now, as you may have noticed at the start here, I've actually started partway through into the intro. The reason for that is this game uses quite a decent amount of RNG manipulation to hit a specific RNG seed so that I can get predictable outcomes on things that are generated through random numbers. And one of the things that impacts the initial RNG seed is something called timer 0, and it kind of fluctuates randomly. So even though everything else is quite controllable, and so execution-wise it's very easy to hit the RNG seed that I'm aiming for, because the timer 0 is basically random, it could take me, you know, up to 30 minutes to actually hit the seed that I'm looking for just by resetting and just getting really unlucky. Of course, when I was setting this up, I hit it first try, so I could have just winged it and been fine, but I wasn't going to take that risk for a marathon. So I started about 57 seconds ahead of when the run generally starts. When you're doing regular runs. Another thing that I've done is I've actually chosen the girl, and I usually choose the boy in this game. This is one of the only Pokemon games where it just doesn't matter at all which one that you pick. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do, change the options. Obviously want text speed to fast, because we're going fast, at fast. And no animations. And stay with the same Pokemon in all the time. Okay, so even though I've hit the same RNG seed, as I was talking about before, there's a lot of RNG manipulation in this game. And so the first RNG seed, it actually... it makes it so that I get good IVs on the starter Pokemon that I'm going to get. But there are several different random number generators in this game. And so that's the IV RNG, commonly known as. But there's another one that's also going to determine the starter Pokemon stats that isn't set in stone yet, which is going to determine the nature. And so I actually have to do really specific movement here in order to make sure I get the nature that I want. So if I mess up from any stage from like here on for the first 20 minutes, you're going to hear me try and hold back some curse words and try and figure out very quickly what I'm going to do.
That's alright, we do have a swear jar.
I'm one of the main patrons of that swear jar. So...
the reason it was implemented.
Yes. I also forgot that the girl actually makes getting this nature a little bit harder, because I have a visual cue to try and make sure I do the right amount of bonks on Bianca there, and it's harder to tell with the girl than the boy, but hopefully I got it right. If I mess up the nature, it's not a huge deal, but it's not great. So the starter I'm going to pick is Tepig. All the starters in this game aren't actually that good. In fact, I'm not going to use the starter throughout the entire game, but I am going to use it for the first hour or so. Tepig is the best choice almost purely because of its type and the matchups that you face in the first hour. The first gym is normal type, so it doesn't really matter there, but the second gym is poison, which makes grass just not really an option. And a lot of the poison types are also bug types, which makes fire the best there. And then the third gym is bug, which makes fire the very, very clear choice. Okay, so as Asti mentioned before, the names were chosen on the Twitter poll, and we've got I and U as the names. Basically, just so the this is an old joke going back to I think even like 2011 when I first got into Pokemon speedrunning. That when I defeat the rival, it says I defeated you. Battles in this game, battles in this game are also very quick, especially compared to a Gen 4, the other generation on the DS. Like, Gen 4 is the slowest of all of the Pokemon games in battles, and Gen 5 is the quickest. So, if you don't pay close attention in the battles, you might not actually understand what's going on, because especially without animations, it's very fast. I'll check my stats here just to make sure I got the right nature, and I did. So the nature that I got is Rash, which is plus special attack and minus special defense. This is also one of the only categories where it's not really clear what the best nature actually is. I think just about everybody else who runs this category uses Naughty as the nature, which is plus attack and minus special defense. But I use Rash. The main reason I use Rash is because this game actually has difficulty settings. settings, and in challenge mode, which is basically the hard mode, Rash is the clear choice, and so I just use Rash for both, so that I only have to find one seed and do the same movement. So this is a little bit of a cutscene, but what I want you to pay attention to in this cutscene is you see the man on the right here, next to the center. Just pay close attention to his face. And his face just disappeared. So, when you go different lengths away from different models in this game, sometimes some features just don't show up. And then when I leave, his face will show up again.
Terrifying.
Okay, so now I'm going to get the running shoes and I'll start running. And so the manipulation that I was talking about before isn't just for the Tepig stats. I'm also going to manipulate encounters for the first like 20 minutes of the run or so. And so I'm also going to use NPCs to try and figure out exactly what my RNG value is at different points. And so the first thing I'm going to do here when I leave is I'm going to use a technique called Instant Bonk. I'm, again, the only person who uses this, and I'll explain that in a bit. Let's do it. There we go, Instant Bonk. And the NPCs are wrong. Okay. This is bad. Alright, RNG minute's gone. So we're winging it. 5 minutes in.
Yeah. I was waiting for it. I'm like, I wonder how long it's going to take.
Oh, man. That's brilliant. Alright, at least I got the Teppy. So, I guess I won't explain Instant Bonk. Alright, I will. So the RNG manipulation in this game is actually different for every different person who runs the game. And the reason for that is one of the things that comes into the generation of the RNG seed is the MAC address of the DS. So every DS actually has different manips. And so obviously every person, unless you're in the same household, has to figure out a different manip path for themselves. And so the Instant Bonk is just a technique that only I use because nobody else has a path that uses it, basically. It's just because I needed to waste like 1 frame in that area. But so, what I would do with the manip generally is I would manipulate an encounter for Pidove and for Psyduck. And I would catch them both, the Pidove for Fly and the Psyduck for Surf and Strength, basically as Pokemon to use as HM slaves. But also because I need 2 more Pokemon when I fight Charles. Charles is a battle like halfway through the run where he fights you in a triple battle. And so if you don't have 3 Pokemon, you can't do that fight. And you also want really low-level Pokemon for that fight so that he kills them instantly. Yeah, I definitely don't have Manip. But now I'm almost certainly not going to get the Pidove nor the Psyduck encounters because the RNG is just at a completely different value. I'm also going to get a bunch of other encounters that I don't want, which is going to waste time. So this is going to be fun. And I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do for Fly, Surf, and Strength. And what I'm going to do for that fight. So I'll make that up as I go along. I've got an hour. I'll figure it out. So another thing that's, like this game, it's a lot about optimization. And so in this cutscene, I've walked all the way up to the wall. It's because Alder here, this guy in this cutscene, he tries to like look at every side of you, but if you're up against the wall, he can't see one side of you, so it makes that cutscene a bit faster. There are a lot of interactions with cutscenes that are exactly like that. Like, you enter the cutscene, like, you can enter it at, like, several different tiles, and picking the right one that makes the cutscene go the slowest. Oh, well, I guess the cutscene have the least amount of time, I should say. Ends up being better, because in cutscenes, pretty much everyone moves at their slowest pace. And so if you enter the cutscene running or on the bike, it ends up being faster, even if you have to take extra tiles. Okay, so now into some battles. We can relax a bit while I'm not stressing over what I'm going to do for slaves. I thought about this so much as well, and I was like, nah. It'll be better if I just make it up in the run. So Tepig, it does also have the best offensive stats of the starters. So it does do the early fights the fastest as well.
I'll be back in a hot second.
Ooh. Actually, on the fly here, I'm going to talk to this trainer. So usually with RNG Manip, I actually run in front of that trainer, because talking to trainers introduces variable amounts of time. And so a lot of the RNG Manip is based on the fact that you always do every tile in the same amount of time. So as long as you stay on the same tile path, you can keep RNG Manip, and so you avoid things like talking to trainers, because, you know, talking to a trainer can take 1 frame, or 3 frames, or 5 frames, depending on how quickly you press the button. But because I don't have Manip, I can actually talk to that trainer and save the few seconds. And let's just pretend that makes up for all of the time that I'm going to lose. It really doesn't. And that's where I would have caught the pit of, on that route there. Okay, now we're going to fight the rival, you again. Another thing that trainers in this game do is they come out after you hit their Pokemon, sometimes, and just have a little cutscene in the dialogue of the battle. And so if you can somehow avoid that dialogue, it does save a few extra seconds. And so as a result, I'm actually going to use Tail Whip here turn 1, lower its defense, just for the possibility that this tackle crits. See, it didn't, but if it crit, it would have taken Oshawott out in 1 health, and the rival wouldn't have come out and said his little half-second word. Okay, so in Flocesi Ranch is generally when I would catch the Psyduck. Oh, there's also a spinner here that I could hit, because I don't have Manip anymore. I don't even know what the spinner has, because you always manipulate the pass. Oh dear, okay.
I get hit by the spinner.
Yeah, that's the strat. So, usually I would catch a Psyduck here. A Psyduck obviously could show up, and that would be great. I think if an Azrael shows up, I should catch the Azrael too, because I'm pretty sure Azrael can learn Surf. The reason you prefer Psyduck over Azrael is because Psyduck only has 3 moves, but Azrael has 4. And so when you're teaching the HMs, deleting over a move is slower. I think Azrael also can't learn Strength, whereas Psyduck can. But I can teach Strength to my starter, if needed. Usually I toss my starter in the box. But if I need to take it out for Strength, that'll be fine. And there's an Azrael. I hope Azrael can learn Surf, because I'm about to catch this. And I actually am not certain.
Yeah, I'll be hitting up the wiki.
Come on, chat, do your thing. Here we go. It's alright, I'll figure it out as I go along.
Your own personal Pokedex in the chat.
Alright, well, I caught the Azrael. That's good. It's first encounter, which isn't bad. I think they're only like 10% to show up, so... But yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't learn Strength, so I will have to take my starter out. But you don't need Strength until pretty late in the game, so that's not a big deal. See, just straight past the spinner. Gonna pick up this X attack here. So X items are very useful in like every Pokemon speedrun. But in this game, you can't buy X attacks until very, very late in the game. So late, in fact, that I'm not even going to buy them. So I have to make use of the very few X attacks on X items on the ground in the early game throughout the run. And that X attack is going to be used on that fight Charles that I mentioned before, like an hour in. This has actually been a really good ranch so far. I haven't gotten any other encounters. Usually I would get like 4 or 5, and none of them would be like Azrael or Psyduck if I wasn't using the Nip, so... It's been a good comeback so far. Still not sure what I'm going to do for Fly. I'll figure that out. So the TM this trainer actually gave me is Frustration, and so Frustration has higher base power the less friendly your Pokemon is to you. And there was actually a time where it was used in this run, because it's actually more powerful than any of the moves that I have at the moment, because I only just got my Pokemon, it's not very friendly to me. But it becomes diminishingly less powerful as you go through the run. Which is a kind of a interesting mechanic. But unfortunately, just because of the time it takes to teach it, it ends up being not worth it, even if it is slightly better than the moves that I have right now.
Damn you, friendship. Ruining everything.
Yeah. It's true. Like, if you could just not have friendship, it would be an excellent attack. Alright, pick up the X speed as well. Do these couple of fights. So these fights are pretty easy. That actually went very, very well considering I didn't have Manip. In fact, because I didn't catch the Pidove, my time is actually probably better than my PB right now.
You're still gonna figure out where Fly's gonna go.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll lose a bit of that later on. Ugh. Paralyzed, that's not good. Luckily, I do get healed after both of these fights straight afterwards, so I'm not that worried about my health. Yeah, alright, all good. So yeah, this is White 2. So Black 2 and White 2 are considered the same game, but the reason I'm running White 2 is because of the aforementioned Charles fight. He is a triple battle in this game, whereas in Black 2 he's a rotation battle, and fighting him as a rotation battle is absolutely awful. There's also a few minor differences in some of the layouts in some of the places in White 2 and Black 2, the most relevant of which is Reversal Mountain later on in the game. In Black 2 you have to fight an extra trainer in there. And so, it's better in every single way, basically, to use White 2. Even if they are very minor throughout the run, they add up to a couple of minutes. So ends up being good. So another one of the things with Gen 5, so I run all of the DS games, well, except Black White 1. But I run both Gen 4 and Gen 5, and I'm always comparing the two. And so in Gen 4, you have the option to set the L button on the DS to equal A. So you can mash L, B, and A all at the same time to mash through dialogue. In Gen 5, you don't have that option, so you just get the two buttons. And another thing is in the battles, in Gen 5, touching the touchscreen actually advances the dialogue. So during every single battle, I'm always mashing the touchscreen as fast as I can, as well as mashing the buttons. And just because of the way the touchscreen works, and the fact that you can't use your left hand for L, I've often said that you would save, like, a good 30 seconds in the run if you were left-handed, just so you could operate the stylus with your left hand, which I can't do because I have no coordination on my left hand whatsoever.
Yo, I'm left-handed. Time to pick up Pokemon White 2.
Here we go. Asti coming in hot.
God. I don't think I even played this Pokemon.
That's alright, I'll teach you. I'm teaching you right now. Alright, so usually what I would do here is, like I said, I would take advantage of the NPCs to try and figure out the best path through the grass here. But because I don't have Manip, I'm just going to take the ledge and avoid as much grass as possible. And hope this one doesn't give me any. Beautiful. How good's this? I'm on fire. Alright, now I'm going back to my hometown. So this is where Manip would end, so not a big deal anymore. I really didn't lose that much time. Like, the ranch was excellent. That was really good luck. And the first gym just happens to be in my first town. So we'll go in here now that it's open. And go to the first gym. So the battles in here are mandatory, just to get to the gym leader, or to allow him to accept my challenge. But this first gym leader is actually the, at least when I'm doing runs, is the hardest fight in the game. And the reason for that is purely because it's actually a speed tie with his Lillipup, his last Pokemon. And it quite often comes down to whether I win the speed tie on the last turn that I want to take him out. So it ends up being like a 50-50 to win or lose. So a lot of people, they actually use a Tepig with slightly less speed on purpose so that you're slower than his Lillipup. But I would rather just take the 50-50 risk. I'm now operating my stylus with my left hand, which I've never done before, just to prove how uncoordinated I am to myself, apparently. Usually,
we can't quite see you doing it.
Usually I just use, like, my thumb or my index. So one thing that I'm very cautious of is I really don't want to lose any fight and then have to run back to the fight and do it again. I'm fine if I lose from a save and have to redo it, but if I take extra steps, that could mess up. Because, like I said, I'm not going to use my starter for the entire run. I'm going to switch out and catch a Drillbur about 50 minutes in. But if I've taken too many extra steps before the Drillbur, that manipulation may not work. Because one of the things that advances the RNG is every 128 steps you take. And so if I make it so that that 128 step counter ticks over while I'm doing the manipulation for Drillbur, it won't work. And so as a result, I'm going to take a few safety saves in front of some of the trainers, just to make sure if I do lose, I don't have to run back to them and I can just redo the fight. And so one of those is going to be the first gym leader here, Charon. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. That's put me into Blaze, but that's unfortunately too low for Charon. I'm going to have to heal before Charon. I'll do that before I save. Okay. Go in here. Gonna register this pocket before I quit out. And save. It's really weird in that Pokemon menu that Azrael is so much higher up than Tepig. Like, is it not on the ground? That's really weird.
Well, it makes sense if, like, the tail was on the ground, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's jumping.
Very weird. Alright, so this fight, as I mentioned, I was a bit too low. If I had exactly 10 health, I could have gone in with that, but at 9 I can't, because his first Pokemon does 9 damage to me, almost always. And so I can't make use of Blaze, so instead I'm going to have to Tail Whip and Tackle. So this gym leader has healing items. He's got a potion, and so ideally I want none of his Pokemon to fall below 25% health, because then he'll use one. Unfortunately, that was a really low roll with Tackle, so this probably won't take him out. Yeah. So now he's going to use the potion. It's unfortunate. But at least he won't be able to use the potion on his last Pokemon now. On the Lillipup. I'm going to have to heal on the Lillipup as well. Don't want defense there. Okay, let's switch the stylus over to my right hand. So I can actually use that one. There we go. More advanced menus. Alright. So he goes work up, so yeah, this is going to come down to a speed tie here. Need to win this one or I'll lose. Oh, I won! Beautiful. There we go.
Yay! 50-50. Easy!
Easy. See? The best strat is just win.
Yeah, just win the RNG, lol.
Yeah. I mean, I base my whole life on that principle. Oh dear. How's that going to work? Okay. No. I'll figure it out. This'll work.
Hang on, what?
Alright, so that's the hardest fight in the game done. Easy, easy, easy. So obviously it doesn't look that difficult, but like I said, just based on the odds, I have a 50% chance of losing that fight in that situation, and that situation is very, very common. And so there are a lot of other fights where I have a chance of losing, but they shouldn't be as high as 50%.
Oh, there's no incentive link. So many noises.
Yeah, this is one of the longest talking cutscenes in the game. Actually, it probably is the longest. There's a lot of... I honestly don't even know what's happening. I'm never looking at the game at this point.
Do you want me to plug stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Alright, well, we are Australian Speedruns and this is Fast 2020. We are raising money for the Royal Flying Doctors Service. And if you're not familiar with Australia, it's a very spacious and large country with a lot of, I guess you would say, not empty space, but vast space in the middle, which puts a lot of people in isolated positions. And Royal Flying Doctor Service helps make sure that those people get the urgent medical care that they may need in the event of emergencies. And also just to ferry out important things to them. And we'll be raising money for them today and throughout this entire marathon. And we did have one donation at the start of this marathon of $6.09 by Anonymous that said, "Is Burster a good name for the first Pokemon Pro Tag?" And unfortunately, due to the fact that this run was first in the marathon, we weren't realistically going to try and fundraise for the names. So the names were done through the AusSpeedruns Twitter, and Worcester's own choice of INU won out, with the trainer name being a complete and total wipeout landslide victory. And unfortunately, the rival almost got $599 USD, which I personally voted for.
I voted for it too, even though it was against my own choice.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching.
Okay, so the main reason why Manip doesn't go any further than this when you have it is because of that cutscene. When they're on the phone call, that completely destroys manipulation, because RNG just advances like every frame in that phone call, and it's just awful. But it's also because you can buy repels after you get the first badge. So now that I have repels, I don't necessarily need Minip anymore, and that's why it's not really a concern that I don't have it from this point onwards. I've got to make sure to say no to this, or she just keeps explaining the same thing over and over and over again. It's an absolute trap. Another thing that can show up now that I have my first badge is in Gen 5, you can have like phenomenon show up. So like there'll be rustling grass or rippling water or something. And those encounters actually get through repels. Like if you run into one of those tiles, even though you have a repel up, you'll still get an encounter. And so it's possible, and I have to keep like a sharp eye out, that if one of them happens, like right in front of me, I've got to quickly dodge or just get an encounter, and that's really bad. I think I'm supposed to Ember now? Oh, I used Endure. Oh, yes, got the burn. How good. Alright, beautiful. That's why I use Ember. For that very reason. I don't think I've ever gotten that on a run before. Beautiful. Because the AI choices in this game aren't exactly very advanced. Especially in the early game. So they can just use Endure over and over and over again there. There's another spinner here, but I'm not really concerned if I hit this one. This one's very fast. They've only got one Pokemon. The experience does help if I hit the spinner, and I have to pass the spinner 3 times. So if I hit them on the first pass, it's like, no, that's fine. Not really a big deal. But I will still try and pass them. Beautiful. Just thinking when I should save in this second gym. Because like I said, I really don't want to white out and have to come all the way back to the second gym. Just thinking about when it's first reasonably possible that I could actually lose. I think I'm going to save in front of the first trainer, and that'd be the only one. So if I lose to like the gym leader, I have to go through the entire gym again. Because I think I could lose to any of them. And I don't want to save before every single trainer. That would just be incessantly safe. There's no need for that. So Tepig is not nicknamed because, like I said, I'm not going to be using Tepig throughout the whole run. And it's actually not worth the extra time to go into the nickname screen to nickname Tepig, a one character name, because text in this game is also a bit faster than other games. It actually displays 2 characters per frame instead of 1. Going into the nickname screen also in this game, for the starter, changes the RNG pattern. So if I did that, it would mess up Minip, which I mean, Minip got messed up anyway, but at least I would have had a chance this way. I said I was going to save, didn't I? Ugh. I guess I'll commit to that. Let me just equip this first. They very conveniently give you Pecha Berries before the second gym, which is a poison gym, and Pecha Berries heal poison. It's very possible I'll use all 3 of them in here. It's very important that I have one equipped to Tepig for the gym leader, because the gym leader has a move called Venoshock, which doubles damage if you're poisoned. Which pretty much wipes me out instantly. Another thing that's generally very important, especially in this gym, is the manipulation of your health. So Tepig, like all starters, has an ability where if you're at 1/3 or below of its max health, its fire-type moves do 1.5 times more damage. So I'm not quite in Blaze at the moment, but I am now. Now that I'm at 10 out of 46. But obviously it puts me, the lower health I am, the more in danger I am of actually getting taken out, which is also why I equip the Pecha Berries, so that if they use poison gas and don't actually do damage, it just immediately heals the poison, and then I take no damage and stay in Blaze like that. So that was actually a really good fight. Teach Flame Charge, very nice powerful move that runs off physical attack, which Tepig has more of. Equip another Pecha before the second fight. It's also why I fight that trainer first, is to get Flame Charge before this fight, because I want to be hitting the Grimer with Flame Charge. Because it's got much higher special defense than physical defense, as you can see by that damage that Ember just did there. Very low comparatively. Okay, you can see I'm still in blaze here, so I'll be able to get this coughing. That's 2 embers. I've still got the Petra, don't I? Yeah, okay. Quick that last Petra. And I'll, whoops, wrong one, heal to full. For the gym leader.
Oh, right, I should probably do that.
Yeah, tackle in this game is actually 100% accuracy. They changed it in Gen 5, which is excellent, because tackle having 95 accuracy was just so bad for speedruns. Missing is very bad. Always want to be using moves with 100% accuracy. So this coughing, I've got to pay really, really close attention to how much damage I do with my embers. Unless I burn turn 1, then it's really easy. Which I just did. That's excellent. Oh, that's not good. The coughing took my Petra Berry, which only can happen if you burn, because usually it would just be using tackle. What do I do here? Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lead with Tail Whip. Now I'm going to use Flame Charge, so that I don't end up being faster. Beautiful. Look at that. 1 hit. Easy, easy, easy. That was a great decision. So the thing that I would be worried about there is the Whirlpeed its ability is Poison Point, which means it could poison me on contact. So if I had led with Flame Charge there, it's possible that Poison Point would have activated, and then the Venipede could use Venoshock and take me out. So I wanted to avoid it giving any chance of being able to hit me if poisoned. Alright, and so now I evolved to Pignite. So you actually evolve at level 17, but because I skipped over level 17 in that fight, I evolved at 18, which saves a little bit of time as well. It's convenient. Like, I don't take any extra experience to do that. It's just how the experience is laid out. Because at level 17, Pignite tries to learn Arm Thrust, and I don't want Arm Thrust, but because I skipped over it before evolving, it never tries to learn it, which is excellent. But yeah, so this run's going really well. And now, not just text, but this is by far the most tedious and boring part of the game, after the second gym. Because now I have to go to... oh, I don't even know what it's called. I just call it the movie place. Pokerwood or something? Poker Studios? Something like that. Anyway.
The movie place.
The movie place. I have to sit there and watch a movie in the middle of a speedrun. It's excellent. It's great, riveting stuff. It's also really bad for the speedrun. We considered mapping out paths where you could RNG manipulate like up to this point and potentially save even more. The reason we didn't even consider it is because there's such a small amount of time between the first gym and the second gym. There's like, 2 patches of grass. But if you get to the movies, RNG also runs every single frame in the movie. And the movie is so long that there's no way that you're going to be able to hold it after the movie. So it was just not possible to keep it at all. And so not worth even considering it after the first gym. Oh. But yeah, I have basically nothing to say for the next, 3 minutes.
Alright, give me a moment. Sorry, there's a lot of back stuff going on.
It's all good. Alright, what else have I got to say to Phil?
No. I've got some donations here. So we've got a $20.46 donation from Four Eyes with no comment. Thank you very much for the kind donation. And we have a $3.91 from Bakuman SRE. Bakuman84, who says, once again, I'll be supporting the event. Good luck to all of the runners. And then they put their money towards Bo Kid for a hat in time. And just to remind people that we do have incentives throughout this marathon that you can donate towards. The next set incentives up after this run for the Blinks 2 Masters of Time and Space run. You can choose to name both the main character and a sub-character with a total character length of 12 characters. No one has donated anything towards that yet, so you may snag an easy victory on that one.
But yeah, so the movies, they're actually a kind of interesting thing in the game. They're basically like puzzle battles, and the result of the puzzle ends up turning into a movie. So in the actual games, they're kind of interesting. It's just that being forced to watch this movie is very much not interesting in the context of doing a speedrun at all. The only thing that's somewhat relevant to this point in the speedrun is actually the credits after the movie take different amounts of time. So it's possible when the credits come up that there'll be a picture on the left or the right, or there'll be no picture, and the text will just come up all the way through the center. And that ends up being faster by like a second and a half if there's no picture, because the text takes less time to go through. Yeah, see, I got the picture on the left. That's a shame. And so now after watching the movie, I now have to go film my own movie. It won't let me leave until I do that either.
You're gonna be a movie star, kid.
I sure am. They also make you walk at the slowest possible pace between these places. My god. So yeah, when you're doing the movies as well, you can generally use your own Pokemon, but they force you to use the rental Pokemon for this first movie as well. So I get to use a Riolu. The Riolu has Force Palm and Ice Punch, so it's like the way you're supposed to do the movie, basically. Like, all the movies have a good ending and a strange ending as well. Actually, maybe not all the movies, but some of them have a strange ending. But so it's like there'll be a script that you're supposed to follow, and you take out the Pokemon and you're the hero and whatever. But it's not fast to win and be the hero. It's much faster to lose, so I can get out of the movie quicker. So
wow, this sounds familiar.
So instead of using Force Palm to take out this Pawniard, I'm going to use Ice Punch and have the Pawniard just instantly take me out. Again, there's another like 1 second time save you can get here. If you get the Ice Punch to freeze Pawniard, then the movie also ends immediately. And that saves a little bit of time because then you don't have to watch Riolu die. That did not happen. Dang. But yeah, it's quite comical that over this several minute stretch, there's just like 2 things that can save 1 second that are very low chance of happening. Everything else you're just mashing through text. It also forces you to save here. For no real reason at all. But anyway. Once we're done with the save, we can get back to actually playing the game.
We're almost done with our starter Pokemon too.
Yes. It's got like... Well, not quite almost done. I'm going to catch the Drillbur soon, but I still use the starter Pokemon after catching the Drillbur for a little bit as well, for the 3rd gym. Because it does the 3rd gym a lot faster than Drillbur does. The main reason Drillbur is the best Pokemon for the run is actually because of its evolution. Excadrill is just insanely powerful. Drillbur itself isn't actually that good. But it does have a very good type matchup against the 4th gym, so it's not too bad at that point. Alright, so now we're going to start fighting Team Plasma. So I was very low health after I defeated Roxy. I can't quite remember my health, but I'm pretty sure I am in Blaze, which is ideal for these next few fights as well. I'm going to get a free heal in 3 fights time, so being at low health isn't a bad thing for healing. So I'd much rather be in Blaze now, and I'm pretty sure I am. Blaze is 21. Yep, 18. Beautiful. So I can take these things out with Ember, which is ideal compared to using Flame Charge. Flame Charge is a move that increases your speed every time you use it, which is great, but that is extra text that shows up saying that it's raised my speed, so I would rather not use it if possible. So now I've got to go and chase that Team Plasma Grunt, which is why I'm going to have to pass that spinner from before a couple more times. That's a nice NPC. Allowed me to pass without taking an extra step, and then this one made me take the extra step. Okay. Let's repel. A great feature these games introduced is the auto-use repel again.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic for speedruns as well. Just shows up, use the repel again, because you pretty much just always want to keep repels on once you start using them. Yeah, a lot of the areas between the prequels to this game, Black White 1 and Black White 2, are similar. This is kind of a unique area to Black White 2, the first kind of like starting island with the first two gyms. And now I'm going to go take a boat to the third gym, which ends up being the same as the Black White 1 area. Just about there. The whole reason I had to do that segment with the watching the movies and whatever is because the person who's going to take me to that area, the ship captain, wanted to be a movie star. And so I had to convince him that he's not a movie star, he's a ship captain. So get back to the ship. It's a good long 8 minutes to do that. And unfortunately, the worst possible result, I ran into the spinner on the last pass, where the experience is now completely worthless. And I had to waste all that time waiting for them to spin away as I was passing them. As you can see, it's a very fast fight, but disappointing to lose that little bit of time either way. Alright, NPC was good that time. Don't want to use the repel there. Only got one repel left. Yeah, the money's reasonably tight at the start of the run, so I don't want to buy extra repels. Even though it is generally faster to keep reusing repels, if I'm taking like an extra 1,000 steps, I don't want to keep using a repel where there's no grass, because the extra text box for it coming up like 10 times ends up being slower than just going to the menu and using it again the next time. And I'm about to enter a very big town where there's no use for repels, so better to turn them off there and just use my one last one in the sewers. So the first thing that's going to happen after I get off the ship is I'm going to get the bike. So the bike in this game is very fast and very fluent. It's great for movement in all cases except one, which is when you have to move one tile and one tile only. So you might, in a lot of scenarios, see me say, if I miss a door opening that's only one tile open, struggle for the next 10 seconds to actually get to that door if I miss it once. And just keep taking 2 tiles and miss it by one side, by one tile on either side. So earlier I registered the berry pocket because I was using the berries a lot, but now I'm going to deregister that pocket and register the bike. So I'm going to use the bike far more than anything else. Another thing I'm going to do is talk to 3 clowns in this city, because they're going to give me a rare candy if I talk to these 3 clowns. Conveniently, one of them is in this building, where I also get the EXP share, and as I mentioned before, I'm going to be using my starter, Pig Knight, for the 3rd gym, so giving the EXP share to Drillbar is preferred, so that Drillbar can be getting extra experience during this 3rd gym, while I beat it up with Pig Knight. Another kind of strange thing with this game is there are several areas like this one that actually open up more when you go into them as avenues. And so what this means is because this area is kind of, I think it's like 10 tiles wide or something, but when I come out it's only 4 tiles wide, it ends up meaning that you exit at different, like, relative tiles. And so for perfect movement, it means I have to exit that on the rightmost edge, because 1 tile in this town equals 2 tiles in there. So I end up saving a little bit of time that way. I did not explain that well, but hopefully you know what I meant.
Yeah, sure.
Well, not you.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess you. I am teaching you to be the future record holder of this game, after all.
Because I'm left-handed.
Yeah. I'm serious, though. If I was left-handed, I would definitely have a better time in this game. It does help.
Oh, I'd have to figure out what my RNG manipulation is for my DS as well.
Easy, easy.
It takes me back to the days of Golden Sun trying to route that game.
Good times.
Good times, indeed. I think I still have, like, one of your route documents from, like, years ago.
Oh, man. Yeah. I think Golden Sun, was the first game I ever made notes for, and they were so long, the first notes. So I don't think I ever gave to anybody, but they were, like, 35 pages long or something.
There was a set of notes you gave me that were, like, quite lengthy and were very detailed.
And I think after that, I just never made notes detailed ever again. And now whenever somebody sees my notes, they just have no idea what any of them mean. Because they just look like WGT 3625, and that's just it. Oh, wow. Well, that's unfortunate. So I got crit and my Pig Knight's dead. So that's my only Pokemon in my party. So all of my Pokemon right now are actually gone. However, I still actually win this fight because my rival won it. So in all of the gens prior to that, that would be a whiteout and I would be a goner. But in this one, they make it so that if your partner wins, that's still a win. And like I said, I get a free heal after this fight. So now Pig Knight's alive again.
Do you think the free heal is like a failsafe in case this exact event occurs?
You would think that, but it actually happens in prior gens. So in Gen 4, when you're in a double battle like that as well, they also heal you after every fight. But if you fainted in Gen 4, that's not a win.
Do all of the double battles have like a free heal at the end?
Yes. Yeah, that is a common thing that they introduced since the doubles. But yeah, okay, now I'm going to catch the Drillbur that I mentioned here. And so this is RNG manipulation again. And so I'm going to save right here. And then I'm going to back out of the menu and do some RNG manip. So like I said before, there is one function called the timer zero, which is fluctuating and somewhat random. So this may not work first try, but hopefully it doesn't take too many. Because every seed kind of has different timer zero patterns. And like different ratios that they can get and different frequencies. And so one of the most tedious things you have to do before running this game is finding specific seeds where the timer zero that you actually want is a very frequent occurrence. Because some might get, the timer zero that you want only happens like 10% of the time. Whereas you more want one that happens like 80% of the time. Yeah, that's wrong. So what I'm looking for to happen is a dust cloud will appear. That's how I tell that this is the seed that I'm aiming for.
I have a few donations if you got time.
No, this is a pretty important time. After this we'll go. After I get the Drillbur.
Dude, let me know.
Yeah, this is kind of the make or break part of the run when you're doing runs. Basically, is hope you actually get this first try, because if you don't get like the RNG manip seed at the start of the run, it's not a big deal, you just reset. But this is like 50 minutes into the run. You don't really want to reset if you don't get this first try every single time, especially when it's completely out of your hands. I didn't get it second try either. It's pretty unlucky. Because my Drillbur seed, it is very frequent. It is more in the it happens 80-90% of the time. That actually wasn't fast enough. I'm going to reset the clock here. So the reason I'm resetting the clock is that is one of the things that is... Whoa, I just went to the alarm. One of the things that impacts the RNG seed is the time. Most specifically, I want the game to be booted up at exactly 1505 seconds. So I have to set the clock and then instantly boot up the game, because 5 seconds is the earliest you can possibly get, which is part of why it's a very good seed, so I don't have to wait extra time. And then even if I get the seed, I then have to kill... I have to catch the drillbar.
Don't kill it.
No, I don't want to do that. It can kill me, though. It's actually very powerful. And if it uses dig, it can just take me out in one hit, even from full health. This is pretty ridiculous that I haven't gotten it in 3 tries. I've never missed more than once, ever before, on the time 0. It's making me think that I've got, like, the wrong date or something.
Can't imagine you would have changed it from last time, from practice or anything like that.
No, well, I used the same date on my Tepig seed and my Drillbur seed, so I don't have to change the date mid-run to save a few seconds as well. So that shouldn't be possible at all. Oh, what could be possible is if the steps are wrong. That would be really bad. Missed it again. How could the steps be wrong, though?
I was about to say, how close... Because you said it was every 1,028 steps.
128 steps.
128. So how likely is the threshold going to be right at this point?
Yeah, there's no way I could have crossed over the threshold, I don't think. Because I did take a few extra steps when I was, like, running around the ledge, but that was only, like, 6 or so. And you've got more leeway than that. Still hasn't shown up, though. This is not good news.
Uh-oh. Do you have a backup for this?
Nope, I have no backup.
Oh, God.
This absolutely should be working, though. Because even if it was the threshold within, like, 10 steps or something, the dust cloud shows up at step 20, and I don't actually step into the dust cloud at, like, step 35 or something. So... there's no way it could be, like, it would at least work up to the dust cloud, and I'm not seeing the dust cloud. There we go. Okay. Now
it was just being stubborn.
It was just being very, very stubborn. Okay, now I've got to kill again. Catch the drill bar.
Please catch it.
So I'm just going to chuck balls at full health, because like I said, if it uses dig, it can just take me out instantly. So I want to give it no chance to actually do that. No! Why? Why?
It's okay, it didn't dig.
It didn't dig. Ugh. Now we're in trouble, because I only get 2 great balls, now I've got to throw pokes. Which are less chance to work.
I mean, those are people that catch legendaries with pokes. Yeah, there you go.
There we go, easy.
Easy. I just wanted to be in a Pokeball instead of a Great Ball.
Apparently so. Alright, so I am going to give the Drillbur a nickname. I'm going to name it 9. This is purely just what I do. It's partly because 9 is right next to the OK button, but it's also partly because 9 is... so before we had manipulation for the Drillbur, you could just catch it at any level, which could be anywhere between level 16 to level 19. And so I would nickname the Drillbur what level it was. So 6 for 16, 9 for 19, etc. So that I could remember what level I actually caught it at, because it would change the strats.
Nice.
And so I've just kept that kind of familiarity. So yes, normally I dig out of the sewers, but I'm actually going to catch my flyer in here. I'm waiting for a Zubat to show up. I don't think tackle will kill. Alright, there we go.
Excellent on the fly routing.
Yes. And so that way I save a little bit of time on the menu by not having to dig out as well. Okay, no Zubat. No nickname. I do have to remember to equip the EXP share though, because usually I do that in the menu.
Just a little bit of stress, and now we're back on track.
Back on track. I seriously can't believe how many tries the Drillbur seed did not work. That's why everybody hates Timer Zero who runs this game, because it is just random, you just cannot do anything about it.
Do we now have time for donations and the like?
Yes, the first fights in this gym are very easy, so you can go with some donos.
Alright, well, we have 2 donations this time. There's a $5.73 donation from JK Sessions. It says, "Hi everyone, looking forward to joining you for the graveyard shift. Good luck, Worcester." And as a reminder to everyone, we have some donation incentives. That is true. Mine goes to Runner's Choice, so if you happen to think of an incentive you'd like to...
Look, I'll think of that after the run.
Alright. I'll write that down somewhere. We also have a $546.25 anonymous donation, very, very gracious donation that says, "As a registered nurse at an emergency department that both receives and transfers patients using the Royal Flying Doctor Service, I am so happy to be a part of a community that is raising money for such a worthwhile cause. So I wish that all the runs are blessed with amazing RNG, even when I go back on shift. And this donation is to meet the Final Fantasy VII Omni/Finish, and the rest goes to making Spyro purple." So that does meet the Final Fantasy Omni/incentive entirely, and it puts Spyro purple very far in the lead, which I'm sure the runner will be quite happy for. Oh, I have to do math. Man, I haven't done maths since university. And in case anyone didn't quite realize, is that we're raising money in AUD, so if you're donating in like USD or other numbers, it might convert. Whoa, not that much.
This is why I was kind of hoping the rival would be $599 US.
Someone donates.
Yeah, exactly. $599 US.
I'll just make a little notepad. Worcester has $5.73 donation. It could help if I could spell. No, cool.
Okay, so coming up to the gym leader here. Just before that, I'm going to enter this cocoon. This is going to look like it's messed up movement, but it's actually faster. Now that I say that, watch me actually mess it up. So here we go. Oh, beautiful. So that looks like I took an extra tile there, but it's actually faster to do it that way, because there's a much longer pause before you can actually go into the cocoon if you do it from the tile right next to it. It ends up being faster to move away for one tile and then go in another. The same technique is used in Charleston Cave when I push the rocks, but we'll get to that when I get to that. So I've also switched Drillbur to the front here. The main reason for this is simply to get more experience. Drillbur doesn't quite get enough experience if I just keep it in the back the whole time, and Berg gives quite a bit with his pokes, so I'm going to have Drillbur out there for all of his pokes to get 75% instead of 50% of the experience in this fight, because I want to evolve as soon as possible.
I get very weird vibes from this gym leader.
I can see that. Okay. Let's say it's the bug gym leader, so Pignite does make pretty easy work of it, but this one is rock type as well, so it does take a bit more to take out. And once again, I'm trying to avoid him healing, so I'm using a very specific combination of using Flame Charge with Pignite and then 2 Metal Claws, which are super effective from Drillbur to take it out, so that he never has a chance to go to 25 or less health. Always takes him out. And then for the final, we'll switch back to Pignite. Ooh, a crit. Don't crit me again. Okay, good. Put me in the blaze, so that's a guaranteed kill. Beautiful. Alright, and that's it for Pignite. You can say goodnight to that.
But you'll need to keep him in your party for strength, I believe?
Oh, yes, that's right. I will put him out of my party and then put him back in for strength a bit later.
Ah, right.
Because for Charles, the triple battle, I only want 3 Pokemon alive, because I want everything except the Drillbur to not be alive when I start attacking, so they don't get extra experience, and it all goes to Drillbur.
Ah, right.
Okay, so one of the other reasons Drillbur is so good, or actually other reasons, I haven't gone into it, but Excadrill, it has insanely good stats, insanely good typing, and insanely good moves. And so part of what makes its moves so good is, like I mentioned before, X attacks are not readily available in this game, and boosting your stats is always one of the main strategies in speedruns, so that you can, you know, just set up a bunch of plus attack or plus special attack, and then just wipe the floor with an entire trainer who has multiple Pokemon. But because you don't have X attacks, you can't do that. But Drillbur learns both Hone Claws and Swords Dance by level up, so it can boost its attack without X attacks. Which makes the X attacks basically completely worthless. Okay, good. Oh, I'll tell you what, that girl has blocked my path every single run that I've ever done. It doesn't matter what line I'm on.
She just waits long enough to get you.
Every time. Okay. So yeah, like I said, now Pignite is worthless. I'm not going to use it anymore, because I want all the experience to go to Drillbur, and the next gym is Electric type, and Drillbur's a ground type, so it's a perfect matchup. And a lot of the Pokemon along the way as well are a good matchup for Drillbur. Like that guy, Colrus, he's got Steel types, which again, ground is good for. Okay, and this clown in the gate here is why I talk to those other 3 clowns, because he's going to give me a rare candy, and like I said, whoa, nice, dude, that was really bad movement. That was a good idea of how hard it is to move one tile though. Like, I was off by 1 and then it was just so hard to readjust. But yeah, I want to evolve as soon as possible, and evolution is at level 31. That rare candy is going to help me get there a bit earlier. So yeah, I didn't quite mention before, but the Drillbur, its stats are also manipulated, so it has a 31 IV, which is perfect in everything except special attack. It's also a female to avoid a track from a few pokes. Its ability is also Sand Force, which boosts attack power in sand. And the whole reason it has Sand Force is for this fight right here. Now, Drillbur has Dig, which could take a Magnemite out in 1 hit, but Magnemite actually has Sturdy as its ability, which means you can't take it out in 1 hit. So instead I want to take it out with 2 Mud Slaps. Dig takes 2 turns, so it's a bit slower to use. And so with Sand Force, Mud Slap always does enough damage to take out Magnemite in 2 hits. So it's just to save that little bit of time there. That's also the only time I use a special attack in the run. Because that Magnemite crit me, I'm going to have to heal Drillbur before the next fight that I do. Which is a bit of a shame. Oh, no. Let's take that a bit slower now. It's very easy to run into a trainer by accident, though. And like I said, if you stay on the movement path, it's nice and easy and fluent, but as soon as you get off and you have to readjust, it becomes very, very difficult. Yes. Okay, so here I've just got to set up 3 phrases, so I'm just going to name it whatever one character it is. I often joke as well, because it's so inconsequential, the movement right after this cutscene, because it's very difficult to assess exactly when you're going to get movement back after a cutscene, and this is a one-tiler, so doing this movement here, which I just nailed, as being the hardest movement in the game, it just does not matter whatsoever. It saves like 2 frames if you do it perfectly.
But it's about the hype.
It is. Okay, roller coaster time. Now, some of these roller coasters you actually have to wait for, and so because, like I said, I have to heal before this next fight, I'm going to do it right here while waiting for one of these roller coasters, and it'll cut down on the time that I have to wait by a little. You can see it moving there. I actually probably won't make that. Yeah, it's gone. So that's it. Oh, no, there it is. No, that was faster. Okay. So I could have risked that and not healed. This next fight is actually, again, a speed... Whoa, nice. Is, again, a speed tie. So it's a 50-50 chance that it'll outspeed me on the first turn. And so if I win the first turn speed tie, it won't do any damage, but I wasn't worth the risk. So like I said, this whole area is a bunch of electrics, and I have Dig, which is 80 power in this game, with the same type attack bonus, and being super effective. It just takes everything out in one hit. Good thing I healed. The one thing that can go wrong with these bunch of trainers is a lot of the electric types have an ability called Static. And Static is when you make contact with a Pokemon, there's a 30% chance you'll get paralyzed. And Dig makes contact, so there's a 30% chance after taking them out that I'll end up getting paralyzed, which is far less than ideal because I have to heal the paralysis, because paralysis just completely nerfs your speed. Makes you slower than everything, which is not good, and also makes it so that you have a 25% chance to not attack on that turn, which is even worse. This one doesn't matter so much because I'm actually going to heal after this fight. And it got me. But like I said, I'm going to heal after this fight, so I go to this roller coaster area and then go back to the Pokemon Center to heal. The reason being Dig only has 10 PP, and I'm going to be using a lot of Digs. And so by doing this area first and then going to the PC to heal, I end up being able to dig everything that I want to. But I'm also going there to go to the mart, buy quite a few items and the red shards, and I'm also going to get the what did I leave in the box? Azrael. I'm going to get Azrael back out of the box and leave Pignite in the box. The reason I left it in the box before is there was a double battle. I probably should have mentioned that when I was passing it, but there was a double battle. By only having one Pokemon in my party, I skipped the double battle, because they only fight you if you have more than one. So I have to leave it in the box and then pick it up here. Okay, so I'm going to buy quite a few Paralyze heals, because Static can happen a lot. And then I'll buy Hypers. And then Revives. So usually Revives are seen as a safety strat in like every other Pokemon speedrun, but in this run they're just a necessity. You absolutely need Revives, because a lot of your Pokemon are just going to faint in the run. It's just going to happen. And so it ends up actually just being part of the strat. Okay, so I'm going to leave Drillbit in. Leave Pignite in. So I just put Drillbit in the box there really quickly, because that heals it, and then I've left Pignite in. Like I said, the reason I want Pignite in is because the Charles fight is coming up soon, and I actually only want 3 Pokemon alive, and I want the other 2 that are alive in my party to be Pokemon that are going to die in one turn very quickly. You'll understand that a bit more when I actually get to the Charles fight. For now, let's focus on this gym, Static Gym. Okay, so this trainer, both Pokemon have static. The first one actually only has electric moves as attacking, so it can't actually do any damage to me. As a result, there's actually a chance that this trainer will switch Pokemon, which is not ideal. Ideally, she actually stays in with the Elekid first. But she's pretty likely to switch. Yeah, there we go. This Flappy's also a range to live or not. So all moves actually don't do a set amount of damage. They do a range of damage between like 85% and 100% of the damage calculation for how much they should do. And so there's 16 different values it can do between 0.85, 0.86, 0.87, 0.88, etc. All the way up to 1 of how much it's supposed to do. Alright, so I missed the range, but didn't get either of the statics, which is probably more relevant. Just because I don't have to heal. The experience formula in this game is also a little bit different too, so that when you're lower level you actually get more experience. And so because everything in this gym is actually higher level than me, I actually get quite a lot of experience for taking them out, which is really good because they're very easy to take out as well.
Got time for some donations?
Yep.
We have a $6.09 donation from Niles. I hope I said that name right. It says, good luck to all the runners today. We also have a $6.09 donation from Tristan that says, the Royal Flying Doctor Service has always been one of my favourite causes, and I'm so glad to be putting money towards it today. Put this towards Hat Kid being played in the Hat in Time run, because she is the intended main character. Smiley face. Thank you for the donations. That does put Hat Kid in the lead by just under $3. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of the things in this game end up being very convenient experience-wise. As you notice, I just got to level 26, which is where I'm going to learn Slash. So there wasn't really any extra effort put into this, but this gives me Slash right before this gym leader, and I need Slash for this gym leader's very first Pokemon. Because while it's also electric type, it's flying type as well in Emolga, so I can't dig it. So I need to be using a different move, which Slash is perfect for. I'm gonna heal before this fight too. Okay.
And to absolutely ruin this girl in front of all of her fans.
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, so the Emolga is actually quite annoying, because I can't dig it. I have to set up and then use Slash a couple of times. It's also a range as to whether this dies in 2 hits, and it has static. Okay, that's a really good first range. This will surely take it out. Yep, it did, but I got statics. That's a pretty unfortunate amount of health. Oh, I actually wanted to super there. Oh, Jesus. Calm down. Well, I'd much rather you miss if you could. Oh my word.
The triple.
Alright, miss this time, please. Nope. Okay, for this time. It's almost going to take itself out with recoil.
I was gonna say, it's,
oh no! Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
The static. Oh no.
Alright, so I'm actually going to try and not heal this one, because this is the last Pokemon, and just try and get through with Dig. Okay, good. That was lucky. Because I'm going to use the menu after this fight anyhow. And if I had to heal the static there in the fight, I probably would have had to heal in the fight again as well. Which would have actually been like, really slow. And because I had to heal so many times on the Flappy, I'm actually worried about running out of Hyper Potions now. That was so many in that fight.
I was gonna say, you might be hurting for resources now.
Yeah. I was actually considering in this run buying less Hyper Potions so I could buy more revives. But apparently that was a wise decision to not do that. Because usually you do have quite a few excess. Okay, so I'm going to use the rare candy now. Takes me to 29, and also I get Rock Slide by level up, which is another incredibly good move, and so early to get by level up. No, that's not enough. Now I'll heal the paralysis now. I mean, that was a pretty good fight for a marathon in that I still won the fight, but it showed how ridiculously bad that fight can go at the same time. Or at least gave a good example of it, even with a ground type against an electric gym. This game is not quite as forgiving as a lot of the other Pokemon games in the series. Now, coming up here is two of the most infamous fights back-to-back in this speedrun. Well, the first one that I'm going to do here is not at all infamous. It's a very easy fight. But, so there are two Plasma Grunts here that I have to take out. The first one's easy, the second one has a Watchog, and the Watchog is absolutely not easy. It only has 3 moves, and none of them can actually take you out unless you're at 1 health, because it has Confuse Ray, Hypnosis, and Super Fang. That turns out to be almost the worst moveset of all time. Confuse Ray speaks for itself. You get confused, and then you can hit yourself in confusion, and that's really bad. Hypnosis, again, probably speaks for itself because it puts you to sleep and then you can't do anything. Super Fang you might not think is very threatening, but it makes it so if you're healing, so that you're not in range of hitting yourself in confusion and dying, it's just going to take pretty much all of your health back out straight away. It also means if you do die, and you want to revive Drillbur, and have one of your slaves come out as you're reviving, it pretty much never kills the slave, because it can only use Super Fang. But so it only gets 1 turn here, which is this one, and so as long as that's Super Fang, it's fine, and so that fight actually looks really easy and really simple. But if it goes like Confuse Ray or Hypnosis, it can just be absolutely awful. And you can sit there for several minutes trying to win that fight. Luckily another full heal there. So the next fight I'm going to do is Charles, which I've mentioned quite a few times throughout this run, and with good reason. Charles is an absolute heartbreaker, in his own words. Before that, Bianca's going to give me a little bit of a tour, teach me about hidden grottos, and give me the Fly Hit gem. Fly is obviously very nice, so now if I lose a fight I can just fly back to the town, and it's not really that big a deal. The only fights I'm going to save before are ones where I use an X item, because like I mentioned, there's no backups for X items. If I were to use an X item and then lose the fight, I wouldn't be able to use the X item if I redid the fight, and I can't buy X items, so I need to make sure that doesn't happen. Charles is one of those fights. So yeah, as I mentioned, so Charles is a triple fight, and I don't want any of the experience to go to anything except Drillbur, but I also need Drillbur to not lose, which means basically I need to win a 3-on-1. And his Pokemon are not that weak. Whoops. Whatever, I'll just save here. That was supposed to be right in front of Charles, but not a big deal.
You just ditched the Pokemon in the woods?
Yeah. So, in early runs of this game, you actually used to catch that Pokemon for Charles. It used to be Drillbur, your starter, and that Pokemon, the Minchina, with the 3 Pokemon you would have. And then you would catch a Ducklet on this bridge right afterwards for both Surf and Fly. But we found, almost specifically because of this fight, it's actually better to have lower level Pokemon to accompany Drillbur here, because if you have low level Pokemon, Charles will target them turn 1, because he'll be guaranteed to take them out because they're so weak. Whereas if you have like Pignite and Minchino here, they're not guaranteed to be taken out in 1 hit. So Charles won't necessarily target them, and so he could then target Drillbur, which you really don't want to happen. So I'm going to use the X attack here. He'll take out both my slaves. Beautiful, perfect. And now I can attack on this turn after those 2 are gone. Take out the Archon, it doesn't get a chance to move. Oh, that's a crit. Okay, more Hyper Potions. Because this Tortuga has Aqua Jet, which is a priority move. Oh, okay, I've got to pay attention. Auto Center, Auto Center, Auto Center. Drillbur's in slot 2 because of the Auto Center. I have lost that before in the past. Because in Gen 5, if you use an item on the wrong Pokemon, it just straight up will not work. So if I chose slot 1, where Drillbur actually is, on my Hyper Potion, it would just say, no, that failed. And that would waste my entire turn.
Why does it let you do that?
I have no idea. It doesn't let you do it in any other game as well. In all the other gens, it's just like, no. And then you can choose the thing you actually want to. It's bizarre.
Does it let you target empty spaces for attacks?
If you target an empty space for an attack, it realigns.
Ah, okay. Specifically just the item usage.
Just for items, yeah.
It's like, you missed.
Yep.
Could you imagine that, like, witnessing that? The trainer runs up and just, like, sprays an empty space. It's like, oh, no!
And then the other trainer in there, you know, very lawful, abiding to the rules way, just says, well, that's your turn, too bad.
Just proceeds to deck your Pokemon. Wrong move.
Alright, so before this next trainer, I'm going to heal Drillbur to full, and then I'm going to revive both of my pokes that just died, because it's very likely that I will end up having Drillbur faint in one of these next couple runs. Next couple fights.
Whoa!
Yeah, this marathon is actually me doing White 2 12 times in a row. Spoilers.
Dang, that was a big surprise.
Well, so this is the last fight I'm going to do before evolving, and it's actually a pretty tricky one. So his lead Pokemon is a Herdier, and it actually hits really hard. Its ability is also Intimidate, which lowers my attack, so I don't hit very hard. So I actually need 3 hits to take it out, and it only needs 2 to take me out, which is why it's very likely that I'll end up dying. I got a flinch there, so if I go dig, this should kill. Beautiful. That was actually perfect. Took no damage there. Now this can attract me, so I'm hoping... No, that's bad. Get the range? No. I'm hoping for Imprison. Okay, I got through attract both times. Not too bad. That was actually pretty good luck. I'll take that. And then I reached 31, and now I'm going to evolve into Excadrill. So Excadrill has, what, 135 base attack or something? It's insanely powerful. And its typing being Ground Steel makes it resistant to so many moves. and it learns incredibly powerful moves as well. Like I said, it gets boosting moves. It learns Rock Slide for coverage by level up. It's already got an 80 base power move in Dig. The shards that I got earlier I'm going to use to teach it Iron Head, which is another 80 base power move with Stab, and then it's going to learn Earthquake at level 36, which most Pokemon don't learn Earthquake until like 60. So to get it that early is very, very good. Alright, this guy's going to give me... Well, he's going to try to give me this Zoroark for free, but I'm actually going to turn it down. Simply because I don't need any more Pokemon now, and I don't want more Pokemon in my party. Nope. There is another triple battle later on in the run as well, so I don't want to... Whoa, that's the wrong way. Get more Pokemon in my party. I still haven't figured out when I'm going to withdraw the Drillbur. Drillbur? No, Pignite. I don't know what I'm doing in this run, apparently.
I'm spooked.
Okay, so now we're going to head over to the 5th gym. And this is a ground-type gym. In fact, the ace Pokemon of this gym is actually Excadrill. But so you'll also notice here in this gym, I run in front of the trainers instead of actually talking to them. The reason for that is, so usually in every Pokemon game, you try and talk to as many trainers as possible instead of walking in front of them. The reason for that is they put up this little exclamation point when you walk in front of them that takes a little bit of animation time. But in this gym, I assume because it's in the dark, if you talk to them, they also put up the exclamation point, so it doesn't actually save any time. So you may as well just walk in front of them and not take the extra steps.
You spook them.
Yeah, basically. But you would think that would happen anyway, because the whole point is they don't see you when you talk to them. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but anyway.
Nah, it's fine.
As long as we understand.
If you have the time.
Yep.
We have a $7.17 donation from Thibaut Chapo that says, unfortunately not $599 USD, but the thought is there. Good luck, Lester, with the run. Let's encourage him with Whoop a Z, chat. Unfortunately, the Frankerface Z extension isn't working at the moment, otherwise we would have it set to feature your emotes.
That's alright, I can see the face in my mind. Alright, do this puzzle. And so now Clay, like basically every gym leader in this run is actually a little bit tricky. And so the reason Clay is tricky is his lead Pokemon again has Intimidate, so that's going to reduce my attack, so I'm actually going to switch out to, I guess, Azrael to get my attack back. And then he's got a Sand Slash, and the Sand Slash has very high defense, so it's actually pretty hard to take out. And all his pokes know Bulldoze. Bulldoze is a move that's super effective and reduces my speed, and I can't have my speed reduced, because then I'm slower than everything, and then everything starts taking me out, so I don't want that to happen. I probably should have used the protein in this run. No, well. It's a little bit safer. You get a protein for free, but it doesn't actually do that much, but it is a tiny bit safer. Probably could have used it. But so I'm basically hoping for a flinch here. Did not get the flinch. So now I'm going to switch out. It was a really high roll though. Send the Excadrill back out. Because when you switch out, your stats get reset. So yeah, I got the range there. So the problem is if you don't two-hit the Sand Slash there, Sand Slash will just take you out. But now that I'm faster, I can just dig, and dig takes out the Excadrill in one hit. And that's a win! Alright, 5 down, 3 to go. So now before continuing, I have to go to another mandatory, hey, look at this addition that we added, but this one's actually pretty cool, because it's the Pokemon World Tournament that we're going to go to, which was, I mean, personally one of my favorite additions throughout, like, any of the games. The World Tournament and the Battle Frontier were my two favorite things. But what's interesting about the World Tournament in this run is, so when you're doing a Pokemon speedrun, and this applies to like every Pokemon speedrun, is all of the trainer Pokemon that you fight always have the same stats. They have the same moves, everything is completely always the same. But at the World Tournament, and this applies not just to the little tournament that I'm going to do in this run, but to the World Tournament in general, that is not always the case. And what's most relevant here is, although the IVs and such are the same, the abilities can actually be different. So there are some Pokemon that can have 2 different abilities, and in the World Tournament they can have either. And so there are quite a few Pokemon that I'm going to fight in here that, whether they have one ability or the other, is going to cost me a little bit of time. One of them being Intimidate, as you saw before, lowering my attack, which obviously I do not want to happen. This tournament, like all the tournaments in here though, are absolutely rigged. So although it looks like there's 8 participants, whoa, hello. Let's actually enter the Pokemon that I want, in the order that I want. Although it looks like there's 8 participants, some of them will just always lose, and so I'll never fight them. So I'm always going to fight my rival, and then Charon, and then Colress in the final. Another thing that's not great about the World Tournament for this run, though, is although these are battles, I don't actually get experience for these fights. Which is kind of a shame.
Huh, that's weird.
It's kind of just because they're the same format as the other battles, so it's kind of like, it's like a tournament setting, so like doing online battles or whatever.
Okay.
Like a more competitive setting, I guess. But it's just in the run, it kind of doesn't look like that. You're not certain that it looks like that. So it just feels a bit off. Alright, so that first fight went well. It's possible that Dig doesn't take out his Dewott there. It's not rigged only for this specific tourney, no. So there are other tournaments where it's like you'll have the like rock type masters or whatever, and so it'll have the rock gym leaders from previous games in there, and then they'll also have some dummy trainers, and you'll never fight the dummy trainers. There are some dummy trainers that you can fight, for example in the dark type masters, because there are no dark type gym leaders, so you can only fight 3 dummy trainers who you've never heard of before.
That's more exciting to me.
So okay, here's one of the ability gambles. This Stoutland can have Intimidate, but does not always. And it did, so okay. I have to spend a few seconds raising my attack. Still isn't a threatening fight whatsoever. Okay, so before this third fight, though, I want everybody to pay attention to the crowd, because I've been playing and running this game for years, and I still have no idea what they say. They start chanting something before the finals, as both of the contestants are coming out, and I want everybody in chat to try and tell me what their best guess as to what their chanting is. Because I've heard at least 30 different words.
That's just noise. What is that?
What is the word?
I have no idea.
It could basically be any two-syllable word. The one I'm hearing at the moment is Mareep, because I was doing a Mareep speedrun when I was going into it. But anyway, so this Magneton can have Sturdy, and Sturdy is an ability that makes it so that you can't take it out in one hit, and it has Sturdy. And so that's the bad one, because then it gets a turn off, and it can do stuff. Luckily it used Mirror Shot, which didn't reduce my accuracy. It can do that. The Magneton has Supersonic, and so getting confused is the worst possible option now. Sturdy is still bad in that it wastes a lot of time seeing the ability actually activate and then needing the extra turn to kill as well. Yeah, Jerry is a word that I've heard from that crowd noise as well. Also Gary. Barry. Anything with two syllables, really. Asti.
Hey, that's me.
Okay, so that's the World Tournament done. And so I get 1 battle point for my efforts. Which you might think that's entirely worthless, and you would be incredibly wrong. I'm actually going to use that battle point. I'm going to go over and buy a Carbos. Carbos increases my speed, and so by using that Carbos along with another one, I'm actually going to make it so that I outspeed. It's going to be Drayden's Flygon. Without them, I would not outspeed the Flygon, and the Flygon does so much damage to me. And so it ends up being faster to pick up those Carbos than go all the way to the mart to buy an X speed, which is normally what you would do in kind of like any other Pokemon game, is just have X items to deal with that kind of thing. So now we're going to go off and do some partner doubles. And so in this game as well, in these... Oh no, there's 2 single fights before the partner doubles. But anyway, we're going to go onto this big plasma ship and beat up some plasma dudes.
They had it coming.
Well, apparently we had it coming. Because we're invading their territory and they ain't happy. But yeah, in the double fights that I'm going to do after these ones, they actually do halve the experience that you get. So you don't see that the trainer that you're fighting with gets any experience, but it does get split between the two of you. And so that's actually partly why getting the EXP share is helpful, and why I still have it on Excadrill, because I am going to get 75% of the experience instead of 50%, because I have the EXP share on in those double fights, so that I get more experience, which is good. Higher level earlier and learn Earthquake earlier is the most relevant thing. Get to level 36 earlier. Another thing that's important in the double fights, and why Excadrill is such a great poke, is when you can, it's better to hit 2 Pokemon in a double fight at the same time, because the HP bar drops at the same time. And so you don't actually have to spend time watching 2 independent HP bars drop. And Excadrill learning both Rock Slide and Earthquake, which hits both Pokemon in a double battle, helps a lot with that. And you'll see what I mean right now, because I'm going to use Rock Slide turn 1 on this turn. Or you may not, because Rock Slide actually only has 90% accuracy. So it's possible that I don't end up hitting them both. But hopefully you will. I did miss one of them. That's a shame. Oh my. That one didn't take out Grimer. I thought that was a guaranteed KO. I actually probably should have targeted Grimer then, because I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed against Lipard. That's interesting. Okay, that fight was not very good. That took quite a few turns. But, I mean, as you can see, even when fights don't go that well, in general, Excadrill is never really in any danger. Excadrill is a bit of a beast. There's only a few key fights where it is in danger. So in this fight, I actually want the coughing to explode turn 1, because Dewot's not going to take it out. Yeah, it didn't explode. Now, Dewot will be able to take out the coughing, so it should. I'll just take out everything else. Okay, that's the end of that plasma segment. But don't worry, you'll get to see quite a lot of them later on. Excadrill isn't just the Gen 5 counterpart of Gen 1 Nidoking, it's better. I mean, it even learns Horndrill by level up, so even if you compared it to Nidoking, like I don't use Horndrill in this run, but if you had Excadrill in Gen 1, it would do so much better than Nidoking. Alright, so I'm going to duck in here, buy some more items. Actually, I think I can buy some more Hyper Potions here. So let's just get, I don't know, 4 more. Because I don't need all of the max repels. 22 will be enough. Just to make sure I don't run out. Now I just start using max repels. And so now is where spinners are going to start to really play a part in the run as well. There are quite a few spinners on this route, like all of them back to back. Past 1. Whoa, 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 whoa. Get over here. Get the elixir. Past 2. That was very sloppy movement, but at least I got past both the spinners. The spinners in this game... So spinners, by the way, in case you don't know what they are trainers that spin randomly. So they're trainers that you can avoid, but can sometimes you just get bad luck and they end up spinning in the direction that you're trying to pass them. And so they're kind of like trainers that you have to prepare for if they hit you, and obviously it'll waste time if they do. But they come in clumps in this game. Like there's 4 spinners within like a minute in this kind of area. This trainer is not a spinner. I have to fight this trainer. And then there's no spinners for a long time. And then there's 3 in a minute again later on. Actually, there's 5 in this little clump, because there's 1 just after Charleston Cave as well. good. Got past that one too. Okay, so coming up here is one of the most bizarre optimization quirks of this run. I'm about to enter Charleston Cave, and what I'm going to do is, before entering Charleston Cave, I'm going to take off my bike, run into Charleston Cave, and then put on my bike again. And if you didn't do this yourself, you would think that has to be slower. How could taking on your bike, just to walk a few steps, and then put on the bike again be faster? The reason it's faster is it actually makes this load here, this black screen, happen faster. So much faster that it ends up being like a second faster to do that overall. Simply because it starts loading the music at a different interval because the bike isn't on. Ugh, I should not have done that. But anyway. Got past that spinner too. And these are the little stones in Chargestone that I was talking about before. You can see me take one step. One step away from the rocks before moving into them. Ends up actually being faster. And again, more cutscene optimization here. Move a couple to the left. Okay, well, didn't hit any of the spinners there, so I'll say that's good. The movement still could have been a little bit better, but not hitting any of the spinners is the key part there. There's one more spinner coming up here as well. I'm about to get the item that I'm going to give to Excadrill for the entire run, which is the Lucky Egg, which gives me 1.5 times the amount of experience for every fight, which ends up being massive. Like, it makes a huge difference. Oh yeah, they give me the Master Ball as well. I never actually use the Master Ball. I already have the best Pokemon in the game, so... Oh. Alright, here's the Lucky Egg. Surf to Azrael. And fly to Zubat. Oh, whoops. Wrong button. Yes. Okay, Skylar's Gym. So this puzzle, it doesn't need super duper precise movement, but it does need the movement to be pretty good. Otherwise, you might end up getting blown into a trainer. So the way it kind of works is after specific time intervals, there's going to be wind that blows and kind of pushes me back as far as I can. So I need to be in front of specific objects that'll stop me. And so if I mess up the movement too much, I can get blown into trainers instead of just being able to stop behind, like that little windmill type thing there. Alright, and now I actually am going to save before Skylar. Skylar is actually one of the least threatening fights in the run. So it might seem weird that I'm saving before Skylar, but like I said, the one thing that will be a problem is if I don't have X items. And the X speed that I got is used on Skylar. And so if I do manage to die to Skylar, even though it is a very unlikely thing to happen, it would be tremendously bad. Because her Swanna outspeeds, and just, I think it has Surf, even in normal mode. And it would just instantly take me out. So I need the X speed. So, just to make sure, if I do manage to die, I'm still good. So I'm going to set up one Hone Claws. Unfortunately, the Swoobat actually has Unaware, which, yeah, you can see my Rock Slide just missed. Even though Hone Claws increases my accuracy, Rock Slide should not be able to miss with increased accuracy, but because its ability is Unaware, it makes it so that when I'm attacking it, my stat boosts basically aren't applied. Okay, I've got Swanna. And here's Earthquake. No, I think we'll still go Rock Slide. Hopefully that's not a heal. Yeah, good. Alright, good fight. Even with the miss, that's still a good fight. Because it's actually a range to kill the Swoobat as well. It doesn't always die. The Skarmory as well, it's possible that 2 Rock Slides actually does too much damage. And she ends up healing the Skarmory. It's also possible that Steel Wing raises its defense. Another very bad thing. Oh, okay. I can just take this to sweep me out of the gym. And now this ends up being the perfect Pokemon speedrun for this marathon, because I'm actually going to hop aboard a plane.
Yes. Oh, well, there you go.
There you go.
Guess now's as good a time as any to say that, hey, we're AusSpeedruns, and this is Fast 2020. Fast is actually an acronym for Flying Australian Speedrunning Team, because we're raising money for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. Service that helps rural Australians get their much needed medical assistance, both emergency and routine, as well as some services located around the more urban areas, but primarily known for their expert service in helping those in rural Australia.
So a very little known thing about this game as well is in the route I'm about to go to, there are these trainers on bikes moving around. If you're actually holding the B button, these trainers move faster. And I only found that out once I did a speedrun of this game, and I was just kind of holding B as a routine, because it's like, you hold B when you're running and such. And one of the trainers was moving so fast and just ended up running straight into me. And I was just not expecting it whatsoever. So okay, here I'm going to walk for 3 tiles. That again looks a bit weird, but if you see this trainer here, who's looking up and down, it's to waste the perfect amount of time so I can just breeze past there. Otherwise that trainer would see me as well. I am going to heal before this fight. Yes, just another repel. No, not revive. So normally in a run I wouldn't do this, but for a marathon run, bit of a safety strat here. In this double battle, there's a Vibrava that I'm going to target on the first turn, and it's a 12 in 16 range to die. And if I miss the range, it would have killed me. So, just better to take a little bit of time in this case. And I did not get the range, so good thing I did that. I'm going to use Rock Slide here, actually, because that'll take out the Vibrava and do a little bit of damage to the Grumpig. Beautiful. Unfortunately, Earthquake doesn't affect the Drifblim, but I've still got to go Earthquake here to take out the camera up. Ordinarily, that would be hitting the Grumpig after taking out the Vibrava. Oh, wow. I didn't take it out. You shine a wall now. Alright, and off we go now to Undella Town, and I'm going to fight my rival here as well. Now, this rival fight as well is actually quite dangerous, because, so he got the Water starter, and Water is obviously a type that I'm a little bit scared of, and it's fully evolved at this stage. So this fight can look very simple, and it can look very difficult, depending on what happens on the very first turn. So if I can set up as many Hone Claws as I want, this fight's actually pretty easy. But this Unpheasant here quite often uses Taunts turn 1, and so then I can't use any more Hone Claws after Taunt, because it makes it so that I can only use attacking moves. But it used attack, so that's perfect. So now I can go a second Hone Claws, now it can Taunt, I don't mind that. And now I can just take it out. Because with 2 Hone Claws, I one-hit the Samurott. So I'm not really that worried about it. But the Samurott has Aqua Jet, which is a priority move and can do over 50% of my health. And Revenge as well. Which, if I attack it and then it uses Revenge, ends up being a 120 power fighting move. Which can do like 90% of my health. Being able to get the second Hone Claws off, very, very helpful. There's also a really weird thing after this fight. I mentioned before about how load times can vary. So sometimes they can just vary without really much of your control here. So in this gate, even though I'm going to go straight upwards, you can actually get variable load times here. And it actually depends what load you get, alters how you have to do this movement here. That's a fast load. So I can just get past him from above. You can see how he was moving in a circle there, so if the load was a little bit slower, I actually would not have been able to pass him like that. He would have started turning upwards and then would have seen me. And so if the load's a bit slower, you have to go below him instead. But if you go below him and you get a fast load, he'll then actually see you moving down. So you actually have to react to how fast the load time is on that load to change the movement. Or you can just wait a couple seconds and take it safe, but nobody wants to wait a couple seconds in the speedrun, do they?
That sounds like you're going slow. And that's not the name of this marathon.
No, this is fast.
Next marathon will be slow.
Multi-target moves do not work in Gen 5 like in Gen 4, where it starts doing single calcs, because like I said, in this game, it actually does all of them at the same time. Like, you can see it reduce the HP bars at the same time, so it can't change to doing a single if it's the last poke left. Again, once I actually hit a Rock Slide in a double battle that hits both the pokes, you'll see exactly what I mean. There's a double battle coming up right here, which hopefully will do exactly that. I didn't take too much damage in that fight, so I shouldn't have to heal before this double, which is good. So here we go, I'm going to use Rock Slide again, so hopefully you'll see what I mean this time. There we go. So you can see the HP bars drain at the same time. Samurai should go Revenge here on Sneasel. Yep. Alright, 42, and now I'm going to learn Swords Dance. So now I can boost my attack by 2 stages in one turn. And now this is just my final moveset. It's just an insanely good moveset. It's just the best moves that you could possibly pick. It just learns them all naturally. And very early into the run as well. Took that a bit safe. Just didn't want to talk to that trainer there by accident as I'm picking up that rare candy. I have Taught Surf. Pick up that second Carbos. Whoop, over here. Azrael looks so sad in this game. I kind of feel bad for catching it. So yeah, you noticed I got the Master Ball earlier. They kind of throw legendaries at you in this game. See, like right here. This is a legendary. Right in front of me. And peace. They really set you up to catch at least one of those, but like I said before, I already have the best Pokemon in the game, so... Whoa. Did not mean to run into him. No. So now I'm going to turn the repels off because I don't need them for a while. You know what? Use those items. Alright. So another one of the critical parts for like getting a really good run in this game is getting a lot of flinches. So both Rock Slide and Iron Head have a chance of flinching opponent pokes. And getting as many of those as possible ends up saving a lot of time. Obviously some flinches are a lot more consequential than others. Like some of them are just, it skips a Pokemon doing something that does no damage, but it just saves a couple of seconds to get the Pokemon flinched instead of in that case, I guess, it used Dragon Dance. But some of them will save... The Pokemon uses a move that does 60% of your health, and then you have to heal it afterwards, or you end up dying and have to use a revive. Marshall in the Elite Four is probably the best example of that. Okay, these couple of fights are going fine, haven't taken any damage. So in this gym, I get a choice between a couple of fights. So in this one, it's basically, do you want to fight the attack fight or the defense fight? The next one above is, do you want to fight a triple or do you want to fight a rotation? And as I explained before, I do not want to fight a rotation. I want to fight a triple. But in this case, with the triple, I actually want Excadrill to take everything out with Earthquake. But the only way it can do that is if it's in the middle of my party in the triple battle. And because it's in slot 1, because I'm using it to fight everything, it's actually on the left-hand side. So before this fight, I'm actually going to switch Excadrill to slot 2. Just so it's in the middle for this fight. Once again, though, I don't want anything except Excadrill to get any experience, so... I'm going to set up Swords Dance on turn 1. Hopefully this trainer takes out my other 2 Pokemon while I'm setting up the Swords Dance. I flinched the Druddigon. Unbelievable. Alright, I'm using another Swords Dance then. It's a shame that it was the Zubat that lived. If it was the Azurill that lived, I could have just used Earthquake and killed the Azurill. But because Zubat's a flying type, Earthquake doesn't affect it, so Zubat would have gotten a ton of experience there. And it would have taken so long watching it get all of those levels. Because like I said, when you're lower level in this game, you get more experience. So it would have gotten like 10,000 experience from this fight. Which is not acceptable.
Nice strong Zubat.
Yes, well done, Zubat. I was making sure not to use Fly, because if it lived, I was like, well, I don't want it to be in the air and use Fly. I wasn't even thinking about Bite could flinch the Druddigon. Good. The reason it went first before the Druddigon is because Druddigon was using Revenge, which is a negative priority move. Though it might have been targeting Excadrill with Revenge anyway. It would have been weird if it was using Revenge on Zubat, given it's 0.25 times effective on Zubat. But anyway. For this fight, just set up the Swords Dance. And away we go. And so this was the fight that I was talking about why the Carbos are so important. Because at level 46 here, I outspeed this Flygon by 1 speed. And like I mentioned, this Flygon just does so much damage if you give it a turn. His Haxorus does still outspeed me, but the Haxorus does very little damage. I'm pretty sure even if the Haxorus crits, it's not going to kill. Doesn't even attack. Beautiful. You see how much experience that gave me. Like, one Pokemon gave over 5,000 experience. You get a ton in this game with the way the EXP formula works, along with having the Lucky Egg.
It's enough to keep you on top.
Well, I mean, I'm actually a lower level than a lot of these folks. It's just that this game is actually, it's quite... the levels they throw at you are a lot higher than other Pokemon games. But it allows me to stay competitive. And because I have Excadrill, who's such a beast, it ends up being more than enough. Like, I've been doing a lot of alt Pokemon runs recently in some of the other games. And that ends up being fine. Like, you can beat, you know, Heart Gold with a Butterfree. No problem. But if you tried to beat this game with a Butterfree, no. It's not going to let you do that. Okay, this is a little bit of a cutscene here as well, actually.
Would you like me to plug?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hello everyone and welcome to Fast 2020. You are currently watching Pokemon White 2 run by the ever famous Worster, Australian speedrunner extraordinaire. We are AusSpeedruns. We do charity fundraising events and we're also the premier source of all Australian speedrunning events. This event is raising funds for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which is a service that helps provide crucial medical services to people in rural Australia. All donations are going straight to them, and when you donate, you can also put your donations towards incentives to modify or add content to the marathon. The next incentives to come up after this particular run is for the Blinks 2 Masters of Time and Space any percent speedrun, where you can name both the character and an additional character. There's been no names submitted, so any donation put through, as long as your name isn't bad, will go through at this time. So be sure to hit up those links that have been placed in the chat or in the panels beneath the stream. And thank you for watching. Kick back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah, so the people of this town are probably not relaxing nor enjoying the show right now.
But they are chilling out.
They are definitely quite chilled. Yeah, so this actually changes the not the layout, but I guess the terrain of this town as well during this part of the game. So it introduces these ice pillars and also a lot of ice that's very slippery. But I'm sure you've all played video games with ice in them before.
Oh man, I love ice physics. Is there sliding puzzles too?
Yeah, I wouldn't really call them puzzles.
No.
Just kind of, you do slide. Here we go, look. Here we go, I'm sliding.
Right.
You're also slower when you're sliding than when you're just on the bike normally in other terrain. You don't hold your momentum, so you want to be sliding as little as possible. Now I've got to switch Excadrill back to slot 1 at some stage. It's one of the most unfortunate things about this game, it just does not line up well. Is I get healed. At the moment it's fine that Excadrill's in slot 2, because both my other Pokemon aren't alive, so I won't send them out. But I actually get healed right before I fly away from this town, and when I get healed, those slaves are going to be revived, and so I need to switch Excadrill to slot 1 before that happens. Which is unfortunate, because if it happened right after I flew away, I could combine switching the positions with flying away. I just don't like when things don't line up. I like to save the time. I didn't see how many iron heads I have left. I probably should have done that. Oh well. Okay, good. Got that movement right. It's very easy to go one tile too far there, and then just end up going onto the ice. And then just slipping all the way down. AI in this game is somewhat unpredictable on a lot of the moves they'll use as well. For example, this Weezing that's about to come out next can actually just use Explosion immediately.
Is that out of character for the Pokemon series? Because I vaguely recall them being fairly predictable in other games.
Yeah, especially when they have quote-unquote good AI, they're generally quite predictable in that they'll just, you know, use the move that does the most damage, pretty much. And then they'll have a couple of other clauses, like, you know, they might use a status move if they have one, or if like two of their moves will both take you out, they can use either of those two. But in this game, in Gen 5 in general, quite often they can just use moves that for no reason make no sense, even if they have good AI, and it's at a really low chance as well that they tend to do it. Like there's a Waylord in the next gym that I'm going to fight that has water moves that would do like 60% of my health and can burn me, which is also really bad. But instead it can just use bounce, which does like 10 damage and has less accuracy, and there's no real rhyme or reason why they would do that. Just a bit of a weird quirk with Gen 5s. Alright, so there's the free heal. So now I've got to switch Excadrill to slot 1. The free heals are quite useful, mainly for PP usage rather than health, because I'm not that worried about health, but I do need to use attacks to actually beat the other Pokemon. Okay, switch. And so then these guys, these little ninjas, the Shadows, have these little Pawniards that are incredibly weak Pokemon that unfortunately I have to use Earthquake. Like, Earthquake is my most powerful move, but I have to use it like every time against them. It's a little bit sad every time. Jeez, Upjohn. Maturity beyond your years.
Oh, truly the most mature of us all. I have a donation, if you have time.
Yep.
We have a $6.09 donation from Christy that says, White 2 was the game that got me back into Pokemon as an adult. Fond memories. I'm loving the run. Thank you for the donation.
TY. Okay. So I'm going to fly back to Undella Town, take the Marine Tube, and we're going to go to the last gym of the run.
We've still got a solid hour of content after that.
Yes. Yeah, there's quite a lot after the last gym in this game. The Marine Tube has some great music, but unfortunately you just blast right through it, so you don't get to hear much of it. But at least you do get cool camera angles. Alright, so Undella Town has, I would say, the hardest movement in the game to do perfectly, including that I just messed up. But more relevantly, and you'll only see this after I do the gym, that kind of area just to the left there, the shallow water, is very difficult to do perfectly. Again, it's kind of inconsequential. It's not like you're going to run into any trainers there, because there are no trainers there. But it's just very difficult to do it all correctly. It's just very awkward how many walls there are everywhere. Oh yeah, there's also like a kind of rare chance to see a Waylord in the Marine Tube, but I actually see it every single time in my runs, just because that's the time that my runs get there. It always shows up. That Floatzel is another Pokemon that I only just outspeed with the Carburst and Rare Candy that I used from earlier. So this gym is actually one of the parts of the game, this puzzle here, that I actually have no idea how to do the puzzle. I make it, like, I kind of figure out the puzzle every time I get to this gym. I don't remember, like, if you asked me to draw a map of how you do this gym, I couldn't do it. I just kind of remember the second before I have to do the movement. Alright, you just go on this one, and then this one. And it's got to be this one, this way. I really hope I don't mess it up now that I've said this.
I was gonna say.
There's another puzzle like this later in the game. When I go back to the plasma ship from before. That I have no idea how you do it. I just kind of make it up as I get there. So yeah, this gym is water type, which you would think would be quite threatening, but at this point I'm faster than pretty much everything. And I mean, you look at this, I'm just Earthquake one-hit Pokemon. Instantly. Excadrill is just a beast. The gym leader is one that I am more likely of actually having a death to. But even if I do have a death, like I said, I have revives. And it's actually not such a bad thing if I do die once, because there's going to be a double battle later on. And only having one of my other Pokemon alive is preferable for that double battle, rather than having two of them alive. But so the reason why I might die here is I can't just Earthquake and one-hit these guys, and this guy has Sturdy. So even though I could do 100% of this guy's health, because he has Sturdy, I can't take him out in one hit. So I'm going to use Iron Head, go for the flinch. Did not get the flinch, but he used Shell Smash, which doubles his speed and his attacks. But I'm still faster, so that's not a big deal. But I do want to kill it before it attacks me, given it got that boost off. And I'll set up a Sword Stance on this Wailord here. So hopefully it uses Amnesia. Alright, easy. Alright, even with no flinches, that's pretty much a perfect fight. Still at full health afterwards is one of the most critical things. So I won't have to heal for a long time. Alright, and that's all 8 gym badges. And yeah, if you're looking at the time and then looking at the estimate, you might be like, huh? That's a bit weird. But no, there's still quite a few fights to go until I can get to the end of the game, get to the Elite Four. Because those Plasma Goons are still up to their tricks.
Darn those plasma people. What world-ending event are they trying to implement this time?
I can't remember, I don't read the text. Apparently they're trying to set the world to ice or something. That's the best guess we've got. I mean, I'm basically like, this 8th gym leader, you basically tell him that these plasma guys are like trying to end the world or whatever. And he's just like, so wait, do you think they're good or bad guys?
Just tell him that he won't be able to swim because he'll be all ice, and he'll be like, alright, I'm in.
Yeah, look, he just asked, so you think Team Plasma's bad then? And I just actually answered with no by accident. But it doesn't really matter. Alright, so now I'm going to do that movement that I was talking about over here. Yeah, a couple of bonks. That's actually not too bad. Okay. What am I doing here? Max Ether. Earthquake. And Max Ether. Okay, so that's another legendary Pokemon over here that I'm again going to ignore. So Colress is going to show up, and he's going to give me the Colress Machine. Very good name for a genius. Probably not the best with the names. Which is going to allow me to wake up a Pokemon, basically. That's the whole reason I had to come over here, was to get that. And now I'm just going to go straight back. Biking's fast enough in this game that it's actually faster to just bike back to town instead of flying back. I now have to do this movement in reverse, which is the harder one. Right, at least I didn't waste any tiles. Alright, so there is a spinner here, but this spinner is actually pretty inconsequential because you have to fight a trainer either way here. So it doesn't really matter whether the spinner hits you. The spinner did not. That was the spinner right there. He was facing down. Could have been facing up. Because if that spinner hits me, I can then actually go around the spinner and dodge this trainer. Just cut through that little passage there. The reason it's better for the spinner to not hit you, though, is the spinner has 2 Pokemon. This trainer only has 1 Pokemon. So it is a little bit faster to fight this trainer. Now, one thing I haven't explained is it's actually possible to dodge a lot of trainers in this game by using the phenomenon from before. So like the rippling water, the dust clouds, or whatever. Because if one of those appear in a trainer's vision, they actually can't see you through like the dust cloud or whatever. So you can actually get past them completely. Now, just because this is a marathon run, I'm actually going to go for that here on this trainer. Just because it'd be sick if it happened. It probably won't. But try and get a dust cloud to just appear right in front of this trainer. I'm just going to wait until one shows up. It's super not worth doing this on average, but I'm like, it'd be really cool if it happened. Dang.
Unfortunate.
Sad days.
We've got some donations if you got time.
Okie dokie.
We have a $7.80 anonymous donation that says Time Sweeper name #free melee. Thank you for the donation. And a $5 anonymous donation that says, "Come on, guys, let's go." Let's go. Those donations flowing in for this great cause. I think that was a typo. That's all right. I once interacted with the Royal Flying Doctor Service once with a mate, and they were outstanding professionals throughout. Put this towards the MGS2 incentive. We'll get those put in for you.
Alright, so this is what I need the Colress machine for, and this is kind of why I wanted the $599 US name to win as well, is that it's literally a plot point that there's a giant enemy crab in this game. But I just run away from it. And now it's gone, and I can pass.
Whoops.
Okay, so now I'm going to go onto the plasma ship for the second time, I think. I really can't count. You go on the ship quite a few times throughout the run. Yeah, I think this is the second one, and then the third one's later. Same kind of MO as before, single and then double. Another one of the optimizations, and this is true of like all Pokemon games, is to, when you don't have to use a super effective move, to not do so, because again that's more text. So like using Iron Head against that poison type Garbodor is faster than using Earthquake, because Earthquake is super effective. It's one of the most common things that gets asked for people who like haven't seen speedrunning before, because when you're playing the games casually it just makes sense to use the move that does more damage. So it seems weird to see that not happen. After speedrunning the games for so long, it's just so commonplace, I don't even really think about it anymore, but It is one of the things that you do have to learn along the way. Alright, so in this double battle, I'm very much hoping that Samurai goes for Aquatail here on Survivor. Unfortunately, the rival's not the smartest kid, and he does that instead. And Samurott got poisoned. That's awful. Samurott's probably going to die now. Look at that, it's going to die to the poison. This is going to waste even more time. Because now he's going to have to send out another Pokemon. Awful. If it had died to the Earthquake as well, I actually would have gotten more experience, which would have at least given me some benefit to seeing the Samurott die. Because I would have been the only Pokemon on the field, I would have gotten 100% of the experience instead of it being split between the two of us. But because it was to the poison afterwards, that didn't happen. So that was like the worst possible way that fight can go. It's alright, I need a keycard to enter a password here, so I've got to go down and get the keycard. Kind of like, casually you would have to fight a bunch of the grunts to learn the password as well, but I already know what the password is. Not because there's only one password, but there's actually 5 different passwords, but the way it's determined is based off your trainer ID. It's basically, it just does what your trainer ID is, mod 5, and then, so divides it by 5, and then looks at what the remainder is, and that determines what the password's going to be. Now, some passwords actually take longer to enter than others, and so when you're doing the RNG manipulation for this game, you actually want to find one that gives you an ID that gives you a fast password. And so, it's just one of the most bizarre things that you can be routing out, because everybody has to find their own manipulation because it's dependent on the DS. So you can be like, oh yeah, this is a great seed, but I have to play 2 hours in to get up to this point to see, is that going to be a good password or not, until we figured out you could just do it from the ID. But just having a bad ID can cost you a few seconds. It's just a really obscure way to be losing time. This was also, this password actually, so these were the last games that were only released in Japan first. When XY came out, they started doing worldwide releases. And so I played these games in Japanese first, and I had no idea what the password was going to be or whatever. But because the password varied and nobody had kind of seen that system before, I remember going onto the forums on like Cerebi and being like, yo, what's the password? And everyone being like, oh no, it's Zekrom or something. And then, no, it's not Zekrom. That doesn't work. And everyone just insisting, no, it's definitely Zekrom, because that was the password for them. And then there were like whispers that, oh, it's Zekrom or Reshiram, depending on which version you play on. But then it turns out I had a number password, like the one that I just entered there, 7707. And so just, I got stuck there for a few days trying to figure out what on earth this password could possibly be. And very frantically trying to learn Japanese to try and read what the grunts are telling me. To try and...
Oh, that's was the option to learn Japanese.
I had a similar thing with in the first versions of this game, Black White 1. But that was, I didn't know where to go. You had to go to the desert resort, but I ended up showing it to one of my, I was still in high school at the time, one of my friends in high school who was studying Japanese. So I was like, can you tell me what this says? And they had no idea as well. They were like, I can only make up one word, and that's desert. And I was like, I've got it from here. That's fine.
That's all I needed.
Yes.
I mean, I learnt Braille because of Ruby.
It's those infamous puzzles that everybody could solve.
Because the game case had a sheet at the back that was Braille, like the numbers, I think. No, like the whole Braille alphabet, basically. It was just printed on a card in the case. So I was like, huh, what's this for?
Yeah, I got Emerald from a friend in primary school, actually. I traded him a cricket DVD for his Emerald cart.
Top trade.
But so I never had the sheet, so I was just completely lost there. Yeah, these cutscenes look a bit weird on stream as well, because of the way the top and the bottom screen are kind of organized, because the top screen's more relevant. Because they kind of use them both as if they're one screen during those cutscenes. Okay, now we'll fly back. We're gonna go chase that flying ship. That was good movement that time. So sometimes with those like dust clouds, if they appear, you can avoid them. But so these kind of hallways that are only one tile wide are kind of my nightmare. If you get a dust cloud right in front of you, you can be able to see it and react to it, but there's still nothing you can do because there's only one tile you can go in, and it's just blocking your way. So it's just hope they don't show up, basically. So here I'm going to do something that looks a bit weird as well. I'm just going to exit this door and then just come back. The whole reason that I'm doing that is, after this next segment, I'm going to be using an escape rope. And by setting the flag there, basically, by leaving and exiting, exiting and coming back in through there, I'm making it so when I use an escape rope, I'll come back to that exit there instead of the first one that I entered through. Now, as I mentioned before, only having one Pokemon alive is preferable for the double battle coming up soon. So I'm actually going to deliberately have one of my Pokemon faint in this fight. So I'm going to switch to the Zubat right now. And I'm going to do it on this Weezing, specifically because, like the Weezing that I mentioned before, it can randomly explode. It's not a very high chance to do it, but it is possible. And so it would be the most preferable thing to happen right now. It's missed. That's not preferable. There we go, that'll do. It's even weirder that it did it against the Zubat. But anyway.
It's like, oh man, I can't handle this Zubat.
Yeah, it's over. But so that way, I didn't have to waste time having Excadrill kill it. Because Weezing does have really high defense, so it takes 2 turns to kill as well.
Oh no, 2 more grunts.
Yeah, I don't even have to fight these guys. It's all good. We're out of here. And there's some more ice, which will get you going. Oof.
Oh, hell yeah. Just the slow slide.
Alright, and straight away the double battle I was talking about. And so the reason I made Zubat faint and not the Azrael is because I'm just going to lead with Earthquake straight away now. And obviously Zubat wouldn't have died to the Earthquake, which is not ideal. Because I don't want my little pokes to be getting any experience, as I mentioned before. No. I was trying to use my left hand to do that, and I just couldn't hit Azrael. Okay, this Scrafty is actually quite dangerous. Oh no. Okay, good, got the flinch. That's lucky. Oh, I missed the Golbat. Thank god I didn't miss the Scrafty. The Scrafty has high jump kick, which is 130 power, and has stab and is super effective. I forget how much damage it does, but I think it might actually just instantly kill you. So, it's a very good thing it did not get to attack, and it was very close to being able to. But again, the battles are so fast that it's like, that's the kind of thing where if I don't point that out, you don't even notice because it just goes by so quickly. Okay, so this was the other puzzle as well that I was talking about that I don't really remember how to do. So there's a bunch of pipes here and a bunch of warp panels, and I have to hit 4 different switches without running into any trainers, ideally. That was not a great place for that repel to wear off. Nope, okay. Okay. You gotta run just outside of this trainer's vision. I actually didn't have to run that far, but like if I don't move one tile up before going onto the pipe like that, that trainer will see me. You're just outside of their vision there. Okay, now Zinzlin. And again, as you can tell, that, like, if you've been paying attention to these fights, there's just a lot of Pokemon here that are weak to both Steel and Ground type. There's a lot of Ice types, and then Poison and Steel. So Excadrill is just the perfect Pokemon.
Have some donations. You got time?
Yep.
We have a $7.80 donation from Anonymous that says the TomTom name to be #SaveSmash. So that's the other name incentive for the Blinks 2 run. So there's one incentive, one name put forward for both. So that's always good. We also have a $50 donation from Darkmish that just says West of Loathing donation goal. So that makes that one met. Oh, it doesn't? Actually, no, I don't think it does. No, but it does contribute to it. Thank you very much for your donations.
Alright, so I'm almost out of PP, so I should not have done this menu here, actually. Fresh water. Elixir, please. Heal up while I'm here. Now fight Colrus. So Colrus, again, he has a lot of Pokemon that are weak to Earthquake, but unfortunately 3 of his Pokemon I can't take out in one hit, because 2 of them have Sturdy, so just the ability that makes it so I can't take them out in one hit, and the other one's holding an air balloon, which I have to pop. It basically makes you immune to ground-type moves before I can hit him with the Earthquake. And so this is a lot of shit with Iron Head and hope for flinches. Alright, 2 out of 3. That's very good. Alright, and that's Colrus down. So, almost done with the Plasma segment now. Getting there. Yes. There are a few options in the game like that where they give you a yes-no dialogue, and a few of them don't, I mean, all of them progress, basically. But some of them give faster text than others, and some of them give exactly the same text. It's hard to remember sometimes which ones you're supposed to say yes to and which ones you're supposed to say no to. And the big shock plot twist of this game, it turns out that evil guy from the past game is still an evil guy in this game. Unbelievable.
What a coincidence.
Alright, so 3 fights here, and again, these are the Pawniards that I was talking about that I have to Earthquake. There is actually one that I'm not going to Earthquake here, because there are 11 Pokemon that I would like to Earthquake here, and Earthquake only has 10 PP. And it's faster to just 2-hit one of these Pawniards than go all the way out of the way to get another PP restoring item. So the second one on this fight, I'm going to use 2 Iron Heads on to kill. Because I do get another free heal quite soon. You can see it's not very threatening at all. Even if it attacks, it only does like 17 damage or something. Very non-threatening. It's just bizarre that these guys are like genuinely superpowered. Like they can just like teleport across the room. Yet, as actual trainers, they have some of the weakest Pokemon.
Spend too much time focusing on themselves and not their Pokemon.
Dang, you really do know the lore of this game, don't you?
I just took a guess.
I mean, I don't think that was lore until now, but it is now.
So it shall be.
Alright, last one. So this guy actually has an Excadrill, which is really, really fast. And it quite often uses a move called Me First, which basically does the move that you're going to use against it. And so it can be very annoying because I'm going to use Iron Head to take it out, and Iron Head can flinch. So it's actually possible that it uses Me First, takes Iron Head, and then just flinches you, and just does that like 10 times in a row. That may or may not have happened to me in the past. That may or may not be happening to me right now. Oh no! Alright, chose a different move. The best way to get good luck is to just not need good luck, as they say. Alright, one more sliding ice puzzle for all the fans.
This is all for all the fans at the back.
Riveting stuff, here we go.
Oh man, I really worked my brain for that one.
Alright, and so now we're going to go into this cave, chase down the big evil dude, and fight the big evil Pokemon boss. But before that, it's real cutscene hours right now. Like, this is absolute cutscene hours.
Is that a signal?
That's a big nudge, big elbow point.
Oh, okay. I'll just go leave now. No, okay. Hey everyone, for those watching on the front page and people who are just tuned in, we're AusSpeedruns and we're doing a charity fundraising event known as FAST 2020. FAST stands for Flying Australian Speedrunning Team. We're raising money for the Royal Flying Doctors Service, which is a medical service available in Australia that assists rural Australians, those who might not have immediate access to medical supplies or emergency circumstances like hospitals and the like. We, as AusSpeedruns, we generally fundraise. We're the primary source of Australian speedruns, and we host events twice a year, usually for fundraising events such as these. If you'd like to donate, you can donate. There's also incentives that you can put your donations towards that can modify or add content to the marathon. We'll be going for quite a few days, so kick back, relax, and thanks for joining in.
Alright, so what's happening here, let me give you the real lore of this game, is, crap, I should know this. Alright, so, so this dude, this poke, it's kind of like this evil shell of a poke, and it's about to eat this other poke with DNA. Yep, I'm sticking with that. So first it has to fire its laser. Then by firing its laser, it turns the Pokemon into stone. Then it eats the stone. Then it is the Pokemon. And then it's really powerful. And then you have to beat it when it's really powerful. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Standard Pokemon stuff.
Yep. So here we go, we got him with the laser. Now it's a stone. Now he eats the stone. I think this is kind of the first time that they actually used a legendary as a boss battle in the games as well. Because you can't actually catch this Pokemon in this state. The kind of excuse they give is that Getsus, the big evil bad guy, he says his cane's emitting like a wavelength that makes the Pokeball not work or something. So you can't catch it.
It's kind of like how you can't catch a trainer's Pokemon because they step in and slap it out of the way.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Why doesn't he just say he's going to slap the ball with his cane? But I'm pretty damn certain he says it's emitting a wavelength that makes it not work. Anyway. Yeah, nasty. Finding all the plot holes.
This is why people don't have me around.
So, the thing about this fight in the speedrun, though, is it is a wild Pokemon. So it's not a trainer Pokemon, so it does have random stats. And it's actually possible that... So it's an Ice type, so I actually do have a super effective move. If this goes the way it's supposed to, I just instantly one-hit it, because I'm more powerful. But if it has, like, perfect stats and perfect defense, and a nature that increases its defense, there's a small chance, like a 5 in 16 chance, that I don't take it out in one hit. And then if it chooses one of its 4 moves, Fusion Flare, it's actually possible that it'll take me out, and I'll lose this fight. If I do lose this fight, because all my slaves are dead, I would actually have to redo and go all the way back to this part. So it's a good thing that didn't happen. It's, like, insanely unlikely to happen. Like, 1 in 2,000 area.
I think Pokemon Coliseum's different because he has, like, a thing that's designed to steal Pokemon from trainers. So for some reason it can't be smacked out of the way.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like it's a hologram for humans, but to the Pokemon. They try and slap it and it's just like, whoa, no!
They don't even see it, it actually turns the Pokeball invisible to the human eye.
Ooh, okay, that's not good.
I
Please
like how the dude steps in after you just obliterated that, like, legendary monstrous beast. And he's like, I'll take you down!
I got this. He doesn't got this. Unfortunately, he did use Protect on my first Earthquake there. And the PP for this segment is actually so tight that that's going to now change how I do things. Ideally, I use exactly all of my Iron Heads and Earthquakes before I heal the PP. But now I can't do that, so I'm going to have to switch one of my Earthquakes around. Only thing that's really a concern on this fight is I have to hit a Rock Slide here. Got him. The rest of this fight's absolutely incredibly easy, because I can set up a Sword Stance so easily on his lead Pokemon. Because his lead Pokemon is Cofagrigus, which is like it's basically a tanky Pokemon that's supposed to stall me out. And so it knows Toxic, but I'm a Steel type, so Toxic doesn't work on me. So using Toxic Protect just doesn't work, so it just does pitiful damage. Set up an easy Sword Stance and just one-hit all of his folks. X-Giz a beast. Yeah, see, in this one, everybody always guesses between Getsus, which it's supposed to be, and Dennis. Those are the 2 names that they reckon it is. That one in the crowd before, nobody knows. Nobody even has a joke about what it could be, because there's just so many different things that they couldn't settle on a joke.
Too many jokes to make.
Such a shame. Alright, so that's Team Plasma done.
He leaves behind his cane?
Yep.
The magical anti-Pokeball cane.
Alright, so go that escape route. Now we can finally go off to Victory Road. And this is another one of those spinner clump areas, so there's quite a few spinners on the way here. The first one is by far the most annoying to hit, and the most annoying to dodge. Like, getting past them is very tricky, as is if you actually do the fight. Okay. Oh, wow, they almost got me there on that second pass. That was very close.
Oh.
The reason they're so bad is they have an Emolga, which is a flying type, so you can't use Earthquake on it. But then it often switches. and you just don't know what it's going to do. And then his other Pokemon has Cursed Body, which disables your move. So then if you hit it, it can then just disable your attack, and then you just can't do anything. It's awful. So then there's the kind of badge check here. So a lot of people actually ask me, is this actually checking your badges? Because it kind of varies between Pokemon games. And so I checked like a few days ago, and it turns out that if you don't have a badge, this kind of animation here, where they scan for your badge, just doesn't happen, and it just lets you pass. It's not like it'll scan and be like, you don't have the badge, so you can't pass. It just won't scan. But then when you get to this door won't activate if they don't all scan. So it kind of does function as a badge check. But the thing is, the only way you can get here without all of the badges is with a walk through walls code. And if you have walk through walls, you can just walk through that door. And then Victory Road is right here. But before Victory Road, I've actually got to withdraw that Pignite, which thank God I just remembered. With like half a second to go, because I need strength in Victory Road. So let's withdraw Pignite. Hello, Pignite. Yes, withdraw. Thank you. But it's silly because there are so many different loading areas that would make it so that even if you had walk through walls, it just wouldn't help because you would need to go through a loading area. But they didn't make one for that door. This makes no sense. But anyway. No. Do not give up on learning strength. This is what happens when I have no idea what I'm doing with my menus. Teach strength. Thank you. Alright, out of here. Withdrawing Pignite into my party isn't so bad as well, because it means I have an extra Pokemon alive in the Elite Four, in case I die too many times. So I still have a few more Pokemon to revive with. So this Drifblim is actually a Pokemon that I could take out with Iron Head, but I use Rock Slide anyway, even though it is super effective. That's because Drifblim's ability there is Aftermath, which does 25% of your health if you kill it with a move that makes contact. And Iron Head makes contact, but Rock Slide doesn't, so I avoid triggering the ability by using Rock Slide. Okay, a couple more spinners coming up here. Gotta be careful with the movement here as well. It's very easy to run into Trainer's Vision that you can just skip otherwise in the next room. Okay. Like this trainer here, who has a very similar name to mine, but not quite. One character off.
Oh.
And then the very last spinner right after this one.
Does your name pass the Worcester username checklist?
Yes, it does.
Does anyone from chat have a username that passes the Worcester checklist?
Well, I mean, you're in chat.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah, this room's in the dark. This one can be pretty tricky. See, here, that's the one tile thing that I was talking about there. At least it happened on the very last duel. It's, it's so hard to readjust just to one tile.
Just too fast.
Too fast.
I have a few donations if you got time.
Yep.
Got a $14.44 donation from Alan that says, I donated about the same during the marathon in July. Was disappointed that Worcester had to drop out at the last second, but I'm glad that I got to catch him this time. I'm not familiar with Pokemon Sword runs though, so I'm not sure which Pokemon is used more. But if it's possible, I would like to put the donation towards naming whichever Pokemon gets used the most high. If they are used the same, then put it towards the Kubfu. And then we also have a $22.46 donation from Anonymous with no comment. Thank you very much. I will ask the runner if they're not here. Which one is used more?
One thing. Okay. I took quite a bit of damage there, so I have to heal before this next fight. So this is where I'm going to save the Earthquakes. So normally I use a couple of Earthquakes on this fight, which end up being ranges, so instead I'm going to use Swords Dance to save one of the Earthquakes. Use Iron Head instead. But I will still Earthquake this one, because once I use all 10 Earthquakes, it's actually Iron Heads that I want to keep more of. Go, get in there. Okay. Last fight with my rival.
There's a lot of people that don't pass that checklist.
I know, it's very disappointing. Alright, so hopefully no Swagger here. Oh, that'll do. We used Swagger, but it missed. Because if it uses Swagger and it confuses me, I have to heal that confusion, which takes a bit of time. Swagger miss is actually the most ideal situation. So I don't take any damage that way as well. I love how it's my username test and it's not actually even mine.
Really?
I'm just the one who's publicized it so much. The rules actually originate from Ring Rush, a speedrunner who you may or may not have heard of.
Oh, I've heard of them.
Yes, well, you're an old school individual. I think more
old
people
school.
around in, you know, the 2013 type area might have heard of Ring Rush. Not so much these days. Okay, turn off the repels here because it's just the Elite Four left. There's no more wild encounters. Now, the Elite Four in this game you can actually do in any order. Gen 5 was the first to introduce that, but I'm actually going to do the hardest Elite Four member first, which is the fighting one. Fighting is super effective against me, hence why it's the hardest. Reason for doing this is simply just because of how the PP works, and the experience that I get doesn't really make any of the fights any easier or harder. And the ones that they do, it actually makes the other ones easier. Like, more experience does not make this fight easier at all. So in this fight, what I'm looking for is lots and lots of flinches. There are quite a few Pokemon that I can't take out in one hit, and so I want to be flinching them. If I don't, then there's going to be deaths. Deaths are expected. Getting a no death on this fight is ridiculously good and very rare. And that's a good first step towards getting it. So the flinch on the throw is really good because the throw uses Bulldoze, generally, which reduces my speed, and then Miancho would outspeed and just instantly kill me. The Conkeldurr will just use Hammer Arm and kill me if it gets a turn. How good is this?
Are you getting your perfect run?
It looks like it. One more though. This thing's got sturdy, so I can't take it out in one hit either. Okay, that's pretty close to perfect. No Deather, but didn't quite get the triple flinch. The Sork's the one that I needed the least because I had so much health. Usually you don't quite have that much health going into the fight, but I ended up not having a death. The Grimsley fight. I actually think I am going to heal outside because I need to do both. You know, I'm right there. Let's just use another one. And Max Elixir. So typically when I go into this fight, he uses Fake Out turn 1, which just always flinches me. So I generally actually use the Max Elixir in the middle of the fight. Just at the start of the fight, I should say. Just because there's nothing I can do on this first turn. But because I had to heal my health as well, because my health was so low, it's better to just do it there and just, yeah, this will flinch me. Not a big deal. Swords Dance. And then take him out. The rest of these E4 members are actually very, very simple. Grimsley, it's just always the exact same fight. The other two do have a slight amount of variance, but not really much at all. Okay, easy, easy, easy. Now over to Chantal. So the worst thing Chantal can do is use Will-O-Wisp and burn me, because burning reduces attack in this game. So if I do get burnt by Will-O-Wisp, I just have to heal it off. I do have to set up a Sword Stance on all of these fights. So ideally she just doesn't use Sword Stance. Picks Shadow Ball. Yep, perfect. The only other thing here is I need to hit another Rock Slide on Driftland for the exact same reason as before. It's got Aftermath. Alright, perfect, perfect, perfect. 2 fights to go.
We're almost there.
Almost there. So Caitlyn, the next one, is the easiest of all of the fights, even after those easy fights, but is potentially longer than the last 2 fights that I just did. The reason that she's so easy is the only attacking moves that her Mushana, the lead, knows are Dream Eater and Charge Beam. Dream Eater only works if I'm asleep, and Charge Beam doesn't work because I'm a ground type. So it can't actually do any damage. So what it's going to use is Yawn to try and put me to sleep, potentially Reflect also. But then I just use a full heal when I fall asleep, and then just take out everything. Then it'll try to go Dream Eater, it won't work, and then I can just take everything out. Yes. Caitlyn, of course, is the head of the Battle Castle in Gen 4. And then they ended up using her as a Elite 4 member in Gen 5. Yes, luckily the arcade is very much not next. Just Iris to go. Now, I think normally I would potentially heal before this next fight. Let me think about this. Maybe also save. Let's not do any of that. Let's raise the stakes a little bit. It's been a bit too easy. Past 10 minutes.
Too well.
Yeah, exactly. Let's up the stakes. No heal, no save. Let's make things happen. So the reason this is potentially a dangerous fight is her Haxorus actually has Focus Sash as an item, which is basically sturdy. I can't take it out in one hit. And the Haxorus also knows Earthquake and Dragon Dance. So if it goes Dragon Dance, it'll end up at +1. But if it uses Earthquake, it'll just be able to kill me if I'm at low health. And I do have to set up Sword Stance on the Hydreigon, her lead, which does a decent amount of damage. It'll hit me into kill range for the Earthquake. So basically I'm hoping to flinch the Haxorus. Turn 1. Okay, the Swords Dance. Flamethrower, that's not good. Didn't burn me there. All good. Alright, so here's the Haxorus. Let's get that flinch. 30%, here we go. Ho ho ho!
Cool, buddy.
Why play safe in a marathon when you can just win?
You can just win. My cat has joined the finale. Here.
Alright, there it is. I am the champion. Easy, easy, easy. Exca wins. All things considered, that was actually a pretty good run for a marathon. I suspect, without looking at the time, that time may actually be better than the one practice run that I did.
There you go.
And it'll definitely be underestimate, which is all good. Save up those few minutes of us starting late. Of course, time doesn't end until after the Hall of Fame sequence. There's just like 1 minute left to go.
Who's doing the time thing? 'Cause I don't have controls here. I think it's just tech.
All these pokes in the Hall of Fame that are never supposed to be there. Like, none of these pokes are supposed to be there. I'm never supposed to have a Zubat, an Azrael, and Pig Knight's never supposed to make it to the Hall of Fame. What a unique run.
It's a special run, so they get their chance.
315 in-game, that's not bad. That is not bad. Alright, end time. There we go. Finito. And for my challenges, I unlock easy mode. Classic.
It was like 3:21:25.
Yep, way underestimate. Beautiful. Alright, well, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to stick around for the entirety of this marathon. You are allowed to sleep, but otherwise, watch everything else, because we got like, what is it, 3-4 days of content? And run by, you know, our breathtakingly spectacular Australian speedruns community. A bunch of incredibly gifted and incredibly cool people running some great games, so make sure to stick around, have fun. Thanks to the committee, by the way, for letting me do this run. So
no problem.
no, not you, the committee.
Oh, yeah, right. I am but one part of the committee.
Exactly. I'd like to thank everybody.
Group effort.
Especially those who their names start with W. They're my favorite.
Wait a second.
But yeah, thanks everybody. Make sure to stick around, like I said. Enjoy the rest of the marathon.